A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Countdown for blast off. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, Something for Nothing by Robert Sheckley.
I woke up when I thought I heard a voice. But I must have been mistaken because there was no one in my room. There was the same network of cracks in the muddy yellow ceiling and the same water dripping slowly and mournfully through from the roof. I'd seen it 100 times before. The worst room in a cheap hotel. But then, when I swung my feet onto the floor, I saw it. It was a machine on the floor. It hadn't been there when I went to sleep the night before. It was about 3 feet square, and it was humming softly. The crackled gray surface was featureless, except for a red button in one corner and a brass plate in the center. I leaned in closer and read the marking. Class A Utilizer, Series AA1256432. Warning, this machine should be used only by Class A ratings. Hey, where did you come from? A utilizer, huh? What do you utilize? No switches, no knobs, just one red button. Okay, we'll give it a try. Here goes the button. All right, what happens now? Little green men drop from the ceiling? Okay, we'll push it again. Well, come on, do something. Guess I'll have to pawn it. Unless Charlie will give me $1 for the metal for junk. Boy, it's heavy. Can't even get the corner off the floor. They should have sent me somebody to help.
Where do you want it, Mac?
Hey! Where did you come from?
Come on. We haven't got all day. Where do you want it? Lucky it's one of the small ones. The big models up roots to get a grip on.
Who are you?
Moving man. What do I look like? Queen of the May?
But where did you come from? You just appeared in the room. What are you doing here?
I'm from the Power Vinyl Movers Incorporated, and I came because you wanted movers. That's why. Now, where do you want it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. Look, you go away. I'll call for you later.
Okay, Mac. It's your problem.
Utilizer, huh? Utilizer. Well, I don't know where you came from, but I know what you are. You're a wishing machine. I suppose most people would be shocked if a wishing machine suddenly showed up in their room. But not me. Most of my life has been spent wishing, hoping, praying that something marvelous would happen to me. In high school, I dreamed of waking up some morning with an ability to know my homework without having to do it. In the Army, I used to wish for some witch to change my orders, put me in charge of the day room instead of forcing me to do close-order drill like everyone else. Out of the Army, I avoided work. You see, I'm kind of psychologically unsuited for it. I just drifted around hoping some fabulously wealthy person would for some reason change their will and leave me everything. I never really expected anything to happen, but now it did. All right, machine, let's go. I'd like $1,000 in small unmarked bills. There it is. How about that? 5 pence. They're all dirty. Just perfect. Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll get the machine out of New York. Maybe upstate someplace where I won't be bothered by nosy neighbors. I got a lot of problems on the income tax with this sort of thing. Well, maybe I get organized and I'll go to Central America. Hey, what's happening? There's a hole opening up in the wall. What? Somebody's trying to get through to me. The owner of the machine, he's trying to get it back. The hole's getting bigger. Hey, utilizer! Protect me!
Sanisar Leak, Temporal Wall Protection Service. What can I do for you?
That man coming through the wall, get rid of him! Get rid of him! He's almost through!
Oh, take it easy now. There's plenty of time. Let me see. Where did I put that unit?
There's his head!
Wait a minute. You don't understand. Now, wait.
Well, that takes care of him. Anything else?
Did you kill him?
Of course not. I just veered him back through his glommage. He won't try that way again.
Well, you mean he'll try some other way?
It's possible. He could attempt a microtransfer or even animation. Say, this is your utilizer, isn't it?
Of course. Sure it is, of course.
Then you're an A rating?
Naturally. If I wasn't, what would I be doing with a utilizer?
Oh, no offense. Just being friendly. Well, how you A's get around. I suppose you've come back here to do a history book.
Well, I'm really not permitted to say. You understand, don't you?
Oh, of course. I'll be on my way. One call after another, night and day. I'd be better off in a quarry. Bye.
There I was alone with the machine with $1,000 in small bills scattered around the floor. Those A ratings, whoever they were, had it pretty good. Want something, just ask for it. Press the button. Well, the next few days marked a great change in my fortunes. With the aid of the power vinyl movers, I took the utilizer to upstate New York. There I bought a medium-sized mountain in a neglected corner of the Adirondacks. And once the papers were in my hands, I walked to the center of my properties, several miles from the highway, with the men from the moving companies sweating behind me, carrying the utilizer. On all sides, as far as I could see, were closely spaced forests of birch and pine. The air was sweet and damp. Birds were chirping merrily in the treetops. An occasional squirrel darted by. I always loved nature. This would be the perfect spot to build a large, impressive house with swimming pool, tennis courts, and possibly a small airport. So I pushed the button.
Yes, sir. Can I be of service?
I want a house.
Well, yes, sir, but you really must be more specific. Do you want something classic, like a bungalow, ranch, split-level, mansion, castle, or palace? Or primitive, like an igloo or hut? Since you're an A, you could have something up to the minute, like a semi-face, an extended view, or a sunken miniature.
I don't know. What do you suggest?
A small mansion. They usually start with that.
They do?
Oh, yes. Later, they move to a warm climate and build a palace. Shall we start immediately?
Oh, yeah, sure. Fine. Start immediately. I wanted to ask a couple more questions, but I decided against it. Everything was going too smoothly. These people thought I was an A and the true owner of the utilizer. There wasn't any sense in disenchanting them. The rest of the day, I reclined on a couch and drank iced beverages while the Maxim Alt Construction Company materialized the equipment and put up my house.
Well, now, there you are, sir. Modest, low-slung affair with 20 rooms. Built only of the best materials from the design of Meg of Degma. Interior by Toeg, Mueller swimming pool, and formal gardens by Varian. It's really the latest thing. With your permission, we'll include a complete layout on it in Galactic House and Gardens.
By evening, it was completed, and the small army of workmen packed up their equipment and then vanished. I allowed my chef to prepare a light supper for me, and afterwards I sat in my cool living room to think the whole thing over. In front of me, humming gently, sat the utilizer. I ordered cigars. Havana. I wonder what's behind it all. Of course, it can't be supernatural. There are no demons or devils in this. My house was built by regular, ordinary human beings. They swore and laughed and cursed like human beings. The utilizer was simply a scientific gadget, which worked on principles that I didn't understand or care to understand. Could it have come from another planet? Not likely. They wouldn't have learned English just for me. And so I decided that the utilizer must have come from the Earth's future. But how? Well, accidents will happen. Why couldn't the utilizer have just slipped back into the past and ended up in my room? What a wonderful future it must be. Wishing machines. How marvelously civilized. All a person has to do is think of something, presto, and there it is. Of course, I had to watch my step. There was still the owner and the rest of the A's. They'd probably try to take the machine away from me. A sudden movement caught my eye. I looked up. The utilizer was quivering. As I walked towards it, a faint mist of steam came out of it. Must be overheating, maybe a bucket of water. And then I noticed it was becoming smaller. It was no more than 2 feet square and shrinking before my eyes. The owner, perhaps the A's, are causing a micro-transfer that Leak had talked about. I had to do something quickly. I pushed the button. Leak Protection Service.
Well, now look here. I was on my way to the golf course. Must I be disturbed every
Do
time?
something. Look at it. It's shrinking. It's getting smaller. It's getting hot. Do something.
Well, there's nothing I can do. Temporal wall is all I'm licensed for. You want the micro-control people. Bye.
Wait a minute. Come back. It's getting hot. It's getting smaller. I'll press the button again. Micro-control.
With whom do you wish to make an appointment?
Get me help fast. Look, the utilizer is growing smaller. They're micro-transferring it.
Well, Mr. Vernon is out to lunch. He's disowned himself. I can't reach him.
Well, who can you reach?
Well, Mr. Vierce is in the D continuum, and Mr. Elgis is doing field work in Paleontic Europe. If you're really in a rush, maybe transfer point control. They're a smaller unit.
All right. Transfer point control. Ow! That button's hot. I gotta push it. Gotta push that button. Transfer point control.
Well, what can I do for you? Just a minute. I'll take care of that. There you are. Got just in time, didn't I? Ain't fancy, but we're all reliable.
My hand, my finger, it's burned. Can you do something?
Who, me? Nope, not my department. Do one thing, do it well, I always say. Bye.
My finger, it's burned. Push the button again. Now fix me up. Fix my finger. Ah, that's better. Much better. The owner of the utilizer didn't try anything for at least a week. But I found that my mansion in the woods had been the wrong thing to do. I had to hire a platoon of guards to keep away sightseers, and hunters insisted on camping in my formal gardens. Also, the Bureau of Internal Revenue began to take a lively interest in my affairs. And so with the aid of the Power Vinyl Movers and the Maxima Oath Construction Company and the Jankston Instantaneous Travel Bureau and a good deal of money placed in the proper hands, I moved to a small Central American republic. And there, since the climate was warmer and the income tax non-existent, I built a large, airy, ostentatious palace. It came equipped with the usual accessories: horses, dogs, peacocks, servants, musicians, bevies of dancing girls, and everything a palace should have. I spent 2 weeks just exploring the place. One morning, I went up to the utilizer with the vague intention of asking for a sports car, or perhaps a small herd of pedigreed cattle. But as I bent over the gray machine and reached for the red button... Hey, where you going? Hey, you can't move. You weigh a ton. Hold still so I can push the button. Hey, come back here. It's animation, that's what it is. Hey, come back here. I gotta push the button and get some kind of help. Hey, machine, stop. Back into the corner. There we go. There we are. Careful, can't let it get through the door. One side, a little dodge. There. Animation control. Wow, that was close. I can't take any more chances. I better do some big wishing now while I still have the chance. All right, pay attention here, machine. I'll have $5 million, 3 functioning oil wells, a motion picture studio, perfect health, 25 more dancing girls, immortality, a sports car, and a herd of pedigreed cattle. What is it? What happened? The utilizer. It's gone. Where is it? Wait a minute. What happened to me? I'm gone, too. Where am I?
Oh, it's perfectly all right, sir. You can open your eyes now.
Where am I? What happened? I was in my room. Where am I now? Where's the utilizer?
Oh, it's been returned to stock.
Wait a minute. You're the one that tried to come through the wall. You're the owner.
Won't you have a chair?
Well, I guess it's all over, isn't it? The A's finally caught me. Well, it was glorious while it lasted.
Cigarette?
No. Well, you got your machine back now. What else do you want?
My machine? Well, it's not my machine, sir. Not at all.
Oh, don't try to kid me, mister. You A ratings want to protect your monopoly, don't you?
My name is Flynn. I'm an agent for the Citizens Protective Union, a non-profit organization whose aim is to protect individuals such as yourself from errors of judgment.
You mean you're not one of the A's?
Well, you're laboring under a misapprehension, sir. The A rating does not represent a social group as you seem to believe.
You mean it's not an aristocracy, a hereditary...
Oh, goodness, no. An A rating is merely a credit rating.
A what?
A credit rating. Well, now, you haven't got much time, so I'll make this as brief as possible here. You're quite correct, sir, that this is the future, as you put it. Ours is a decentralized age, sir. Our businesses, industries, and services are scattered throughout an appreciable portion of space and time. Now, the utilization corporation that produces the utilizer is an essential link. It provides for the transfer of goods and services from point to point. Do you understand?
Well, yeah. I get it.
Well, credit, of course, is an automatic privilege. But eventually, everything must be paid for.
Paid for? Hey, nobody said anything about paying. What are you talking about?
Well, now, of course, you certainly couldn't have expected to be provided with all these services without paying.
Well, why didn't somebody stop me? They must have known I didn't have a proper rating.
Oh, credit ratings are suggestions, not laws. In a civilized world, an individual has the right to his own decision. I'm very sorry, sir. Now, would you care to look at this bill and tell me whether it's in order?
Bill? What bill?
For all the services that you ordered from the utilizer. There they are. There's one palace with accessories, credit $450 million. Services Maxima Alt Movers, 111,000 credits. 122 dancing girls, 1,222,000. Perfect Health, 8,882,422. Well, there's a whole list of them here. The total comes to slightly less than 18 million credits.
Hey, wait a minute. I can't be held to this. The utilizer just dropped into my room by accident.
Well, that's the very fact I'm going to bring to their attention.
What's going to happen to me?
Oh, it's already happened. You've been adjudged through bankruptcy court. Good luck. Goodbye.
Huh? Where am I? What happened? Where is this place?
All right, buddy, on your feet.
Who are you?
On your feet, Mac. Here, take this.
What is it?
It's a pick. And over there is a quarry where you and I and a couple of others are going to cut marble.
Marble?
Sure. There's always some idiot who wants a palace. You better get working now, boy. They'll hand you a touch of that electronic whip.
What do you mean?
You'll find out. You can call me Jang. We'll be together for some time.
How long?
You work it out. The rate is 50 credits a month until your debt is paid off.
They can't do this to me. It's all a mistake. It was their fault they left the machine. They let it slip into the past. It's all a mistake.
It's no mistake. They're short of labor. They don't want to go recruiting all over for it. Come on. After the first 1,000 years, you won't mind it.
The first 1,000 years? I won't live that long.
Sure you will. You got immortality, didn't you?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I wished for it just before they took back the machine.
Sure you did.
Hey, wait a minute. That bill that Flynn showed me. I didn't see immortality on that bill. How much did they charge me for immortality?
Oh, don't be naive, pal. You should have figured it out by now. Naturally, they give that away for nothing. Now grab your pick. Let's go.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Founding Father by Clifford D. Simak, the story of a man whose job was to be first in the hearts of his countrymen, if he ever managed to find them. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you Something for Nothing, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Robert Sheckley and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in our cast were Joseph Julian as Joe, with Danny Acco, Jock McGregor, John Gibson, Wendell Holmes, Ralph Bell, and Karen Ford. Fred Collins speaking. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Scanning the globe ever watchful, the NBC Radio News Department maintains a 24-hour vigil on the world. From the UN, from Washington, from the Middle East, NBC Radio newsmen are on the beam, reporting the news from where it happens, as it happens. Every minute of the day, news streams into the NBC newsroom, is sifted and evaluated. Every 60 minutes, the most important stories are broadcast to you by top commentators like Chet Huntley, David Brinkley, and Alex Dreyer on News on the Hour. And when the hot stories break, you get them in a flash on Hotline. It's like having a seat in the NBC Radio newsroom. Listen for News on the Hour and the exclusive Hotline service all day, every day on most of these stations.
At last, the Gregory rescue boat has arrived at the Magic Island. Towed in by a Euclidean submarine, Johnston's boat has been left to shift for itself just outside the Pier 5 lock and is now being taken alongside Mrs. Gregory's yacht, noiselessly pulled through the water by the underwater magnets. Jerry and Joan are in the submarine which brought Johnston's boat in and are eagerly awaiting the chance to return to the yacht as soon as the submarine is safely in its underwater lock. On the deck of Mrs. Gregory's yacht, Captain Bradford, the skipper, and Mrs. Gregory stand ready to take a line from Johnston's boat and make it fast to the yacht.
Now, you just stand over there by the port rail, Pat. Keep your eye on the island for old G-47. He'll come running over here to grab Johnson the minute we get his boat tied up. And I'd like a few words with Johnson before that happens, if I can manage it.
I'll watch the island, Tex. I can see the whole pier from here. But I don't want to be too far off to meet Johnson when he steps over the rail. It's my boat, you know, dear, and Johnson's been pretty wonderful through all of this.
Yes, you're right, Pat. I'll stand here if you like, but keep a sharp eye along the pier.
I'll warn you if G-47 comes along.
Skipper.
Aye.
You'd better come here with me and take Johnston's stern line. Hanson can handle that bow alone, but the wreckage of that mast left nothing here to make fast to. So we'll have to strong arm the line here.
Aye.
We'll take your stern line here, Johnson.
Look lively. Here it comes, then.
Tex, that's McLeod. What will G-47 say about this?
He doesn't know Johnson. If we have to, we'll introduce G-47 to McLeod and tell him Mac is Johnson. Here, Skipper.
Aye.
I'll take a turn of this line here. You run the slack out of it and bend the end around something back there. Boat's making very little way. We'll lash her easy enough.
Hurry, Tex. Get Mac aboard here and talk to him quietly. G-47 is coming along the pier now.
Right, Pat. Make it fast here, fore and out. Snap those lines tight. Come aboard, Johnson, over the rail and snap it up.
I'll be with you this minute, Captain Bradford. My compliments, Mrs. Gregory, and your help.
Thanks, McLeod. Now, we've got to give you some quick orders. I'll go meet G-47 and talk to him as long as I can before he gets here. Hurry, Tex. You'll only have a minute.
Now, listen, Mac. This may sound crazy to you, but I'll explain later. You're Johnson. Get it, Mac? You're Johnson.
Oh, that's what Johnson told me. Very good, then. I'm Johnson.
Good boy, Mac. And the reason you're Johnson is because you've got to meet a man right now. He's coming with Mrs. Gregory, and you've got to make him believe you're Johnson. Our lives depend on it. I'll explain it all later.
Well, what about my accent? I've been told I've got a bit of the healing on the tongue.
Well, have a sore throat. Anything. This man has heard Johnson's voice over the radio dozens of times. Now, don't talk much.
Right around behind this cabin, G47. Captain Bradford is talking to Mr. Johnson.
I've got it, Mac. Listen. The oil fumes from the leaking tanks. Your throat. Hoarse.
I got you. I'll give you a full report later, Captain, when I get these oil fumes out of my throat.
There they are, G47. Oh, Tex.
Yes? Oh, yes, Pat. I was just telling Johnson we'd better put him to bed for a while and look after that throat. G47, let me present Mr. Johnson, skipper of this boat.
You have been expected, Mr. Johnson.
How do you do?
Your throat is bad.
Oil fumes got him when he was fighting those leaky fuel tanks on his boat.
He need not speak. It is action I desire. That message, Mr. Johnson?
What message?
You know quite well. The message, Mr. Johnson.
I don't understand.
Oh, come on, Johnson. There's no use trying to bluff G47. He knows all about the message I sent with a pigeon and how much it means to us. You might as well give it to him.
No, Tex. Not that. Isn't there something we can do? Don't give it to him, Johnson.
But, Pat, we haven't got a chance anyway.
We'll have less with that message in G47's hands.
You have no chance under any conditions. Will you give me the message, or must I tear your boat apart to find it?
Come on, where is it, Johnson?
I have it here with me.
Well, then give it to him.
No, Tex, I won't
Quiet, Pat. Why make things worse? Come on, hand it over to G47. Hurry up, Johnson.
There it is, then.
Johnson, you're choking your throat.
Yes, it may be serious. Well, you've got what you want, G47. Will you leave us alone for a few minutes so we can get this man into a cabin and look after him?
I will gladly leave you alone for the length of time it takes to work out the formula. Once I have it, then what I do will cease to interest you.
Come, Tex. Let's take Johnson into my cabin and see what we can do for his throat.
Your cabin's smashed with that mast. Come on, we'll go in the radio cabin.
That would be better. You're welcome to what is left of my yacht, Johnson.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory.
Stand by to watch those lines, Skipper. Make sure the crew of Johnson's boat have what they need. I'll turn out and help you look it over pretty soon. All right.
Look, Tex. There goes old G47, laughing to himself and trotting off down the pier.
Yes, he's got what he wants this time. Right in here, Johnson. Now, neither one of you say anything till I have a quick look at this cloth covering in the cabin. Sit over there, Mac. Pat, you sit there.
Yes.
Where you can keep a strict watch out that port hole along the pier.
All right.
Well, cloth seems all tight. I'll sit here where I can look out the other port and see the rail of Johnson's boat. Just in case some smart Euclidean takes a notion to do a little listening. Now, Mac, you can talk. Not too loud. But we're fairly safe in here.
This place must be as mad as Johnson said it was. What's all the cloth around the cabin?
That cloth is made here on this island. Without it, they could look right through the walls and see and hear all we're doing.
This is a fine how do you do. But tell me, you've got the pigeon all right?
Yes, and the message is safe. Tex memorized it and destroyed it.
Yes, and the bird almost got here too soon. The yacht had just come up when he arrived.
Come up? Come up from where?
We were submerged, down inside the island.
Submerged? Are you quite well, Mrs. Gregory?
I don't blame you, Mac. You didn't know this yacht was a submarine, did you?
What's it all about, Captain Bradford?
Well, you see, Mac, we were taken into a lock and submerged with the whole island when that fleet of battleships was maneuvering around here. But never mind about us. Tell us how Johnson managed to get away and where his radio signals have been coming from all this time. I'll see who it is. Remember your sore throat.
Yeah.
Come in, Joan. Where's Jerry?
Oh, Mother, dear.
Joan.
Oh, I am so happy to see you again.
And I'm happy to have you, my dear. Where's Jerry?
He was not allowed to come at this time.
What's the matter, Joan? Kid talk himself into trouble?
Oh, I think not, Captain. But G47 took him to the chemical laboratory. There is some important experiment going to be performed.
Yes, I'll say there is.
Yes, dear. G47 thinks he has Texas formula this time.
Yes. I saw your other boat. And, of course, Mr. Johnson is a prisoner. They got the formula from him?
They got what they think is a formula. And they got it from a man they think is Johnson. But it isn't, and he isn't.
I do not just understand that, Captain.
I don't blame you, dear. Tex certainly mixed it up. Oh, I'm sorry, Mac. Mr. McLeod, This is my daughter, Joan.
How do you do?
It's a pleasure, Miss Gregory. And your mother really found you here on this island.
Right, Mac. We've got what we came after. The thing now is how to get away.
Where is Mr. Johnson?
This is Mr. Johnson, dear.
But you just said he was Mr. McLeod.
That's who he is. But he's also Johnson as far as G47 and these Euclideans must find out. For just as long as we can keep it quiet.
I do not understand it at all, Captain.
Well, Joan, dear, a great many things have happened to us since you and Jerry went out on that submarine. But the most important of all was the arrival of a pigeon from Johnson's boat.
Oh, one of the little pigeons came here then? But how did it find the yacht? You were in the submerged lock then, were you not?
Yes, we were, until about a minute before the pigeon got here. And luckily for us, G47 wasn't around when the bird landed.
And was there a message on the pigeon, Captain?
Yes, Joe, a very important message. How far out was the boat when Johnson got the pigeon off, Mac?
About 150 miles, Captain.
Then he's too far away for these men to harm him now.
That he should be. It was a fast little boat he made the transfer to. And they ought to be many miles from here by now.
Then Mr. Johnson is not on his boat. Was not on it when the submarine towed it in here.
No, dear. Johnson transferred from his boat to another, which was passing. And for the last couple of hours, he's been running for Los Angeles at top speed.
Yes, you see, Joan, you and Jerry missed a few things by being in the submarine. When this yacht came out of the submerged lock, we saw the pigeon from Johnson's boat fluttering around trying to land. He got into the coat just as we reached the stern. The message said Johnson had transferred to another boat with a radio and would try to keep sending messages just as if he was on his own boat.
Then Johnson was gaining all the time it took to get his boat in here without G47 suspecting that anything was wrong.
Exactly, Joan. And to slow things up even more, Johnson pretended his fuel oil tanks were leaking and the boat would have to be slowly towed in here.
But the tanks were leaking. We followed the trail of oil with the submarine. There must have been hundreds of gallons of oil on the surface of the water.
Lassie, hundreds of gallons there were. And it fair broke the heart of Angus McLeod to open the valves and let it run away.
Oh, but that was very clever of you, Mr. McLeod.
Now, Mac, listen. I think for the looks of the thing, it might be wise for you to go aboard the other boat. Make yourself look busy with the crew, you know, and you, Pat, might go with him.
Yes, Tex, I think that's a good idea. And I would really like to see the members of the crew and thank them for their fine efforts in our behalf.
Yes, I've got a few questions to ask Joan. She might have something we can work on after being in that submarine. After a few minutes, you come back, Pat.
All right.
We'll try to lay a new set of plans before G47 discovers that my formula is still safely beyond his reach.
Pardon, would we be shoving off then? I hope you can see you're very clear out of all this, Captain. It's too mad a business for me.
I'll be right back, Tex. Oh, hello, Jerry.
Hello, Mrs. Gregory. I got some news for you.
Well, I've got to go over on the other boat with Mr. Johnson now, Jerry. You go on in with Tex and Joan. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay, Mrs. Gregory. Hello, Johnson. Hey, Tex. Boy, oh, boy, have I got the news.
Yeah, we've got some for you, too, kid. See that man with Mrs. Gregory? He isn't Johnson. The G47 thinks it is. And Johnson's safely on his way back to Los Angeles on another boat.
Is that not wonderful, Jerry?
Yeah, swell.
Well, you don't seem much surprised, kid. I thought that'd be mighty big news to you.
It would be, if I hadn't figured it out already.
You what?
Yeah. You remember, Joan, that I told you that submarine commander was going to be on our side?
Yes, but I think you were mistaken, Jerry.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I got a minute to talk to her where nobody could hear us. And she said she had figured out that those last messages of Johnson's weren't coming from his boat at all.
You mean that woman commander knew that and kept it secret from G47?
Yes, sir. And do you know what that means? It means that she's on our side. And with Johnson safely on his way back to Los Angeles, and that girl helping us on the island, we're a cinch to get away from here.
Right, kid. Nothing can stop us now.
The Magic Island is now divided into 2 enemy camps. G47 and his powerful group of scientists on one side, and Mrs. Gregory's 2 boat crews on the other. Johnson's rescue boat is now lashed to the yacht, and the 2 ride easily in the surface lock between Piers 4 and 5 on the Isle of Euclidia. The scene is the radio cabin of the yacht. The cabinet is protected from the eyes and ears of the Euclideans by the seaweed cloth. Captain Bradford and Mrs. Gregory are explaining to Jerry and Joan some of the things that happened on the yacht while the young people were in the submarine.
But, Mother, Jerry is overly enthusiastic about the attitude of the submarine commander.
No, I'm not, Mrs. Gregory. That girl was doing a lot of thinking about what Joan and I told her. She's got the idea that maybe these Euclideans aren't so hot after all.
Yes, I'm inclined to agree with Jerry about that, Joan. Out of all the people on this island, it's only reasonable to suppose that some of them aren't any too happy.
Yes, Tex, I think Jerry is quite possibly right. Though we should be very careful about taking this girl into our confidence.
Well, she told me she didn't want to know anything about our plans. I guess she was afraid of what G47 might do to her to make her tell, if he guessed she knew anything.
That is reasonable, Jerry. G47 would find some terrible way to make her disclose your plans if he found that she knew them.
Well, never mind about that now. Tell us just what happened here on the yacht. You know, old G47's going to come busting over here any minute and ask a lot of questions. And, we'd all better give the same answers.
For one thing, we are absolutely sure that G47 doesn't know the pigeon arrived with the message from Johnson.
And we've got the pigeon hidden in the canvas locker so he won't notice it's aboard.
That is fine, Captain. If you are sure G47 does not suspect you received a message.
I know he doesn't, or he would have tried to find out what it was or take it away from me long before this.
I'll say he would.
And Tex has destroyed the message, so we're safe on that count.
Just what did the message say?
That Johnson was transferring to another boat which he had hailed and was going to get to Los Angeles as quick as he could and get my formula ready to come back here and destroy this island and rescue us.
But, Captain, how could the island be destroyed without destroying us also?
Tex will explain all that to you when we have time, dear.
How about that formula G47's got now? The one he took away from McLeod when he thought Mac was Johnson. What's that?
It's a formula that will make something which will keep old G47 busy for a long time when he finishes it.
I am confused about all these formulas and messages, Captain. Will you explain it for me?
Yeah, me too. Joan and I were in the sub while all this was going on. Guess we missed plenty.
Well, you see, the message we sent with the pigeon to Johnson, the message he finally received, contained the number of a safety deposit box in Los Angeles, with instructions and authority to have it opened, and Tex's formula taken out.
Then Johnson will have it compounded, return to the island here, and rescue us by using the formula to dissolve the island. Clear?
Yes, Captain.
We're with you so far.
The message the pigeon brought to us from Johnson told us about Johnson changing to another boat which he hailed, and said McLeod would keep on coming to us. And when the boat was captured, we were to introduce McLeod as Johnson.
I got that much of it all right. But how about the formula G47 took away from Johnson? I mean McLeod. Where did that come from?
Why, Johnson wrote it out and gave it to McLeod, knowing it would be taken from him. And he printed it instead of writing, so there would be no question of my handwriting.
Then G47 actually believes the formula he's now working on, the one he took from McLeod, is your universal solvent.
No doubt of it, Joe.
Yes, dear. G47 is thoroughly deceived on that point.
But when they make this formula up in their laboratory, and it isn't a solvent, the trouble will start all over again.
Yeah, the trouble starts all over again. But this time, I think it'll be more trouble for G47 than it is for us.
What do you mean, Captain?
Well, the formula they have now will really make something. And I hope there's a whole bunch of these Euclidean scientists working on it when I get it finished.
There will be. I heard G47 order every scientist on the island into the central laboratory to work on this formula.
Then there's a chance of your desperate plan succeeding, isn't there, Tex?
The more of these Euclideans there are in that laboratory, the better our chances are.
What chances, Captain? What do you expect will be the result of the compounding of the formula?
That laboratory will immediately be filled with a gas which will put every living thing in the room to sleep for hours.
Gee, won't they have time to do anything about it?
Not a chance, Jerry. When the last ingredient is added to that formula and the resulting liquid raised to a certain temperature, the gas will form with the speed of an explosion. Combustion is practically instantaneous, and enough gas will be blown around the room in less than a second to put 1,000 men to sleep.
But, Captain, they will only be asleep. The gas will not permanently harm them. Is that not so?
Right, Joan.
Then when they wake up, terrible things will happen to all of us.
I've been afraid of that too, Joan. But Tex says those men will sleep long enough to give us a chance to take command of the island. And they'll wake up our prisoners.
Golly whiskers. That's sure something.
Oh, that is wonderful, Mother. But are you sure it will work, Captain Bradford?
There's no doubt of it. And we'll have time to do some planning before that happens. Because they'll discover that they haven't one of the ingredients. And they'll have to come to me for it.
So you see, we've really got a chance against these men at last. And we may need to take advantage of it if G-47 gets too desperate before Johnson can return to our rescue.
That's all swell, but one thing worries me plenty, and I don't see how you're going to do anything about it.
What is that, Jerry?
Suppose Johnson sends a radio message to us. That'll give away everything.
Yes, I've thought of that. There's not much danger of it happening. But of course, Johnson will estimate the time it should take us to get control of the radio on the island. And if he should try to reach us before that has happened, well, it wouldn't be so good.
I hardly think he'll do that. Johnson knows the value of keeping his actual whereabouts a secret.
On the other hand, Mother, Johnson will want to keep well advised of your progress here, as it will be some days before he can reach Los Angeles and return.
Yeah, that's another thing I can't figure out.
What's that, Jerry?
How all this has been going on. 3 radio sets filling the air with messages, and yet we don't hear a word from anybody in the outside world.
Well, that has also occurred to me, Captain Tex. It seems strange that no one except Johnson has made any attempt to come to our rescue or contact us.
That is something Tex and I will explain to you and Jerry when the time is right, my dear. It's enough for you to know now that every move we have made here, every word that has passed through the air between this island and Johnson, is known in every civilized country in the world.
But how can it be kept quiet? I should think the newspapers and the radio news broadcasts would be full of it. Gee, it's the biggest news in the world right now, and I never heard of being able to keep anything like this quiet.
Well, someday you'll understand it all, kid. But for the present, it's enough for you to know, as Pat started to tell you. But we happen to have influence enough to keep this quiet until we want the world to act on it. Remember that it would mean certain victory for the Euclideans to attempt to bring in a rescue party now.
I can understand that, Captain. You would sacrifice thousands of lives and billions of dollars in any attempt to take this island by force, while by waiting, you may take it through strategy.
Right, Joan, dear. You and Jerry are fine, understanding aides, and you've been a great help to us.
I think, Mother, Jerry has been more of a help than you know.
In what way, dear?
Jerry talked so much about your world to the commander of the submarine that she gave us many privileges. And if what Jerry says is true as to her being willing to help us, then we have Jerry to thank for it.
Nice work, Jerry. What did you tell her?
Oh, I didn't tell her so much. It was just that she kind of took a liking to me. I guess she knew it never saw a fellow like me before, and then when she got kind of stuck on me, it was easy to get her on my side.
At least, Jerry, you have no doubt about your own ability with the ladies.
How old is this woman submarine commander, Joan?
She is very old, and Jerry is foolish in thinking she was attracted to him. The commander is 22 years old.
Poor old lady.
I hardly see how she gets around at that age.
Oh, you know what Joan means. She's just jealous, that's all.
Why, Jerry Hall, if your monumental conceit were worthy of the slightest consideration, it would only be to point out the utterly ridiculous impression created by your exaggerated ego.
She means I like me
Yes,
too much.
I get it. That was the general import of the remark.
Never mind, Jerry. It's sometimes better to think well of yourself than to be too modest. After all, the world takes us at our own estimation.
However, it would be well to remember that the estimation must be lived up to.
Okay, forget it. I'm sorry, Joan. I didn't mean to start a battle over it. The important thing is that the girl is on our side, and I'm sure of it, because she knew enough to wreck our plans if she'd have gone to G-47 with it.
Just exactly what did she know, Jerry?
Something about those last messages not coming from Johnson's boat, wasn't it?
Yeah, and why I'm kind of worried about it is because G-47 should have noticed it the same as the commander did.
The only reason the direction of Johnson's radio beam did not attract the attention of G-47 was because he was giving all his attention to the prism reflectors, observing the progress of the submarine.
But won't the variations of that radio beam be recorded so that he'll stumble onto it later?
Oh, they are recorded, of course. But in the excitement of getting Captain Bradford's formula from Johnson, or thinking he had, G-47 must have forgotten to read the recording device.
Then Johnson's secret is safe only until G-47 decides to take a look at the records in that device.
I'm afraid that's it. But maybe he'll forget it altogether.
How often are the plates or rolls or whatever the record is traced on, how often are they replaced, Joe?
Every 24 hours, a new roll of sensitized metal is inserted in the recording devices. Then the old rolls are safely stored away.
Looks like we've got a chance if G-47 doesn't look at that roll.
How did the submarine commander discover that Johnson's messages were not coming from his boat?
Well, she's got one of those directional beam recorders on the sub, and she watched it like a hawk.
Oh.
I guess she knew from the message that something was funny about it.
Also, she would have noticed the loss of strength in the beam as Johnson was getting farther and farther away when he was supposedly talking from the very boat we were towing.
Well, if that girl commander knew all that and still kept quiet about it, Jerry's right. She's on our side, no doubt about it.
Is there anything we can do now, Tex? I mean, can we further our plans in any way?
I should think the best thing would be to just sit tight and act sorry for ourselves.
An excellent idea, Jerry. If we act as if we had any plans, G47 would soon sense that our position was not as hopeless as we pretend it is.
Quiet. I've got a good view of the pier through this porthole. G47 is coming, and he's in a hurry.
I'm afraid that'll mean bad news.
Don't give up too easy, Mrs. Gregory.
I think we should say nothing more.
Right, Joe. Just sit still and look hopeless. Come in.
Oh, Tex, it's G47.
Precisely. You will come with me to the other boat at once, Captain Bradford. I need some of your materials to complete the formula.
Don't give them to him, Tex.
No use being foolish, Jerry. I'll come, G47.
At least, Captain Bradford, you have intelligence enough to realize that your position is quite hopeless.
You win, G47. Come on, let's get it over with.
Oh, Jerry, I'm afraid our last hope is gone. Things are working out just as Tex said they would.
And when G47 gets those materials, he can finish the formula Captain Bradford gave him.
Yeah, Tex wants him to finish it, and we'll all be on our toes when it happens. Then we'll show him how to run this island for a while.
Exploring tomorrow. And now here is your guide to these adventures of the mind, John Campbell Jr.
There's the old saying, you'll do it and like it. And, of course, a man can, by physical force, make you do it. How would you like to have it so that you would like it, too? There are two basic ways that you can be happy in this world. One, of course, is to have everything you want in just the way you want it and never have any difficulties or troubles. This method is ideal, perhaps, but not very probable. Only one person in the world could have that, I guess. The other method, for absolute, complete happiness, would be to like anything that you've got, no matter what it was. The first approach is the one that makes sense, of course. That's the one we work for. We earn it. The other seems so much easier.
Stop barking. Stop barking. Stop barking. Oh, barking. No, that's all right, doggy. You bark as much as you want. Oh, how I wish I could get mad. In the old days, I'd have gone up that dog and told him to shut up, and that'd have been that, but no more. Just as soon as I start to get good and sore about something, my mind kind of all creams up in the happiness effect, and I'm not sore anymore. And everybody here in Benton, I guess most everybody in the country is just like me. We've all had our brains written on, and we're all happy. Here I am, chief of police of Benton, and never a crime to speak of unless it's overtime air parking, and what kind of crime you call that? Henry! Oh, here he comes. Our own Doc Royd, the man responsible for all our happiness. He's supposed to be just about the best brain rider this side of the Mississippi. Henry! Slobbo, that's what I call him. Old wet lips, always do good and always grinning. But behind that grin, believe me, ice. If you need an enemy, just have Doc Royden for a friend.
Henry, didn't you hear me calling to you? Oh, sorry, Doc. I guess I just kind of stand here thinking. Happy thoughts, I hope. Oh, sure, happy thoughts. Sure. What can I do for you, Doc? A fellow just came into town, suspicious. Painting pictures out at Willow Hollow. There's law against painting pictures at Willow Hollow? Now, Henry, you know I got to keep my eyes on things. Wasn't for us brainwriters, there'd be all kinds of irresponsibles roaming around. And these artists, they're the worst kind. You know that. You remember there was a day when you were headed for that kind of trouble? Yeah, I remember. I was pretty good baritone, too. You sure brain wrote me out of that notion. And aren't you better for it?
You're a responsible citizen, happily married, well-adjusted, doing a job that's socially useful.
Yeah. What about this fella I'm supposed to investigate?
Name of Arnold Vivian.
And he's been painting up at Willow Hollow?
That's right. Doesn't do anything all day long but paint.
Single?
No wife, no children, no nothing. He just paints.
Well, remember, as long as he just paints, that's legal.
Now, Henry.
Now, don't Henry me, Doc. I'll look into it. That's all I can promise.
That's all I ask. Goodbye, Henry.
Yeah, that's mighty pretty landscape you're painting.
Why, thank you. Willow Hollow makes a mighty pretty landscape to paint.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's all right. I never mind little talk when I'm painting. What can I do for you?
Your name Arnold Vivian?
That's right.
I'm Henry Horner, Chief of Police.
Nice to meet you. Chief of... What seems to be the trouble?
No trouble. I just out here to give you a kind of friendly warning.
About what?
This town of Benton you're in needs new young men, Arnold. If you should happen to get in any trouble here, we got a real fast brain rider who likes to straighten people out.
I don't get into trouble.
Well, just keep in mind we need workers these days. Like our brain rider would say, who needs pictures on canvas?
Who needs pictures on canvas? Why, Mr. Policeman, me. Maybe someday a few others will agree with me.
Well, maybe. I used to be a sort of artistic fella myself. Baritone concert style.
Yeah, I'll bet you're good on a police whistle, too. Don't worry about me, Mr. Horner. Just go back and tell your brain rider. Here's one traveling man he won't ever get to use his scalpel on.
Every Saturday night, Benton has a dance. I usually don't go near it myself because since the brain writing, everybody's pretty well adjusted and ain't any police-type trouble. This Saturday night, though, I dropped in toward the middle of the evening.
Hi, Mr. Horner.
Hi, hello, Arnold. Having a good time?
Heck yes, I've been dancing with all the girls. They love me and I love them.
Staying out of trouble?
The only trouble I ever have is with pictures on canvas.
Well, don't go getting drunk and signing a job contract with Big Fellum at the Brickyard or with Tom Hart, or you'll forget pictures.
I'm immune to job contract. Also, it may interest you to know that both Mr. Hart and Mr. Fellum each bought a painting from me tonight, paid cash on the barrel.
Well, that's a surprise. Well, I wonder what they're up to.
Well, why should they be up to anything? They just like my pictures. I guess they like me, too. They invited me to play poker with them after the dance tonight.
You turned them down, of course.
Heck no. I like taking money from people at poker.
Well, they're more likely to do the taking, and once you're broke, you'll just have to go to work.
Mr. Horner, when are you going to stop worrying about me? I told you I can take care of myself.
And he could, too. When the poker game broke up about 3 a.m., he was the winner. Everybody was griping, all except Doc Royden, who sat there, his close-set eyes glittering behind thick spectacles.
Imagine him taking me for $30. Imagine.
He knows people, he knows cards, he knows women. You're not going to brainwrite that boy.
You want to bet, Henry? You just want to make a little bet.
Whether it's a crowded highway or a narrow street, a smooth, even flow of traffic is one of the essentials of safe driving. Speeding is an obvious hazard, but it can also be suicide. Slowpoke driving is dangerous, too, because it causes rear-end collisions and tempts other motorists into taking deadly chances in passing. The eccentric behavior of the lane switcher, the driver who weaves in and out, often is the cause behind frightful smash-ups. So don't be a cause, and don't be a victim. Arrive alive.
There are two difficulties with the happiness idea. One of them is that actually we need to earn happiness to enjoy it, but we don't really want to work for it. The drug addict has happiness that he doesn't have to work for, really. The other difficulty is happiness in whose terms? Many times, the other fellow figures that you ought to be happy with what he's giving you.
That's right.
Henry, wake up and scoot over to Tony Holland's shack on the edge of the holler.
What's the matter, Doc?
There's been a crime. Get over here as fast as you can.
Somebody's got to keep an eye on our citizens at the police force.
Now, wait a minute.
Well, it's a good thing I was out this way.
Where's Tony?
I gave him a sleep injection. The poor fella, he was bashed on the head and all his savings were stolen. $302.
So can't you wake him up so he can tell me himself?
No need. I got all the information you'll want.
Who does he think did it?
He doesn't know, but I've got a good idea.
Yeah, like who?
Well, let's eliminate. It couldn't have been a passing tramp. Since brainwriting, there aren't any. And if you can't say it was anyone in town, they're all adjusted and wouldn't commit no crimes.
So?
There might be somebody around who wanders in the holler in the daytime, poking around and pretending to be what he ain't.
Well, it wasn't Arnold Vivian.
How do you know?
Because he's not that stupid. He knows he'd be the most likely suspect.
Maybe you'd just better check up on him, Henry.
Doc, you're the brainwriter. They call you in after the maladjusted guy's been caught, but I'm the cop. I run my investigations the way I want, and I'm not going to build a case against Arnold Vivian.
What are you going to do?
You write on brains. Try reading one.
So you figure Doc Royden's trying to frame me, huh?
Looks that way.
Well, it's ridiculous. I just took you people at poker for enough money to live for 3 weeks. Why should I take a chance on getting my head written on?
Have you missed any of your stuff?
Oh, just my pen and pencil set that I lost jumping around at the dance last night. Hey, wait a minute. That'd make a fine clue, wouldn't it, at the scene of the crime?
It sure would.
Well, was it found over there?
Not yet, but it will be. That's not important, though. What is important is this. Tony Holland has one peculiarity. He marks $20 bills. Figures he can follow how the money goes around town that way. Now, you don't draw any money from the local bank or in salary, so you just better not have any local $20 bills marked by Tony.
Hey, whose side are you on?
I used to sing baritone, remember?
Police, I like you.
Artist, I kind of like you, too.
Henry, look what we found at Tony's. Look here.
Yeah, I know. You found a clue, a pen or a pencil or both. We know all about it, Doc. I better run you in, at least until we can investigate further. It'll look better.
Why, certainly. No trouble at all, Mr. Horner. Glad to come along.
I pressed for a hearing right away, figuring that Arnold could be cleared and then leave town. He figured the same, that it wasn't healthy to hang around a place that needed new talent so bad. The hearing went real fine. From the start, I testified that Arnold had been fast asleep at the time the crime was committed, and I swore that the pen and pencil had been planted in Tony's house. Then suddenly they were talking about marked $20 bills.
Well, I couldn't possibly have any 20s, Judge. I just told you, there's absolutely no way that I could have... Unless... No. Let me out of here! It's a frame-up, I tell you!
There is no tool that is either good or evil. There's nothing that in itself is good or bad. It's the way it's used. Logic is a wonderful thing, of great value to man and his progress. But in this trial here, you've seen what can be done with logic when someone is out to prove what he wants to prove and is not in the slightest interested in getting the truth.
Just one thing I want to say. I've seen a lot of raw deals, but the way you have it here with the singing cop to set it up is the slickest I ever saw. You win.
As chief of police, I had to be present at the brainwriting. Doc's nurse gave Arnold the needle jab in the back of the neck, and after that he sat there like a stone man, able to hear but paralyzed.
Now, Henry, there we are. Yes, the clay model is ready to take the impressions from Arnold's brain, so we'll have an exact duplicate. Now we put this cap on Arnold's head so the electronic fingers in it can do the measuring. That's a good boy. It won't take long now. Attach these wires to the automatic computer that we put above the clay model, and there we are. An exact model of Arnold's brain. All right, let's take a look. Oh, me, oh, my. There's a brain that needs writing. All right. Look here, you see that? Decayed memory spots. Artistic imagination, decayed sensory impressions, quite useless in an adjusted society. Now, we just take the scalpel and start doing away with these 6 synapses in the brain model, substituting good ones. Isn't that what we do, Henry?
Yeah, that's what we do, all right. You erase the bad ones and carve some good ones, and then when his own brain gets the impression, the guy's adjusted from then on. Everybody does what they should, and they don't need no religion, no morals, no psychology, nothing. Just brain right, then the world's work gets done.
Now, Henry, you always miss the most important part. After I get rid of the illogical synapses, I do one special cut with my stylus. There, I'm doing it now. And that's the happiness effect. Then your adjusted man not only does what he ought to, he's happy about it. There we are. Oh, that looks beautiful. Oh, that looks almost like the master brain. Let me get it and show it to you, Henry. It's real interesting. I'll be back in a second.
Arnold, I sure wish I could help you. Wait a minute. Maybe I can. I'm going to try to put back some of those synapses he cut out. Here's the scalpel. Well, there's one he did. There's another. Maybe I can help you keep some of your artistic talent, Arnold. Yeah, here's a final one.
And one day, Henry will be able to duplicate this master brain in everyone. It's brilliant. Take a look at it while I prepare for the transference from the clay model to Arnold's brain.
It sure is fine looking, this master brain.
Yes. Now, we're ready to go? Now, Henry, when I close this switch, the new brain shape will flash the signal to the cap on Arnold's head. The electronic fingers will dig in, and he'll have a new brain. Oh, I tell you, Henry, this is the real moment of birth. Most people are born wrong for this world. This is where they get right. All right, here we go. It's going to hurt a little. Well, Henry, we did it. We created a useful citizen.
Well, 6 months went by, and it looked as if Doc was right. Arnold took a job, settled down, and got himself married, and then...
Henry, have you seen that picture exhibition up at the town hall?
Picture exhibition? No, Doc. What's it about?
Arnold, Vivian, the sneak pictures of me, holding me up to ridicule. I'll be the laughing stock of this town. You've got to stop it.
Well, there's nothing illegal about pictures, Doc, but come on, let's take a look. We went to the town hall, and there was the neatest collection of pictures you ever saw. Arnold had painted Doc Royden more than 50 times, and in each picture he cut the basic evil of the man. Doc was shown at the council meeting, at church, at the dance, his face revealing every grimace of deceit, power, lust, conniving. Every picture was titled The Happiness Effect, and everyone was marked sold already. I knew then and there that Doc Royden was finished in Benton.
Henry, please, I'm too old to start over in another town. I've got to stay in Benton. Please, Henry, get rid of those pictures.
Why, Doc, it sounds to me like you're maladjusted to your environment. You ought to be brain-ridden with a happiness effect.
Henry, man, I've been looking all over for you. I wanted to tell you thanks for using Doc's scalpel to save a piece of my talent.
Why, it was a pleasure, Arnold. Thanks to you for giving us back a little human dignity.
lot of people tend to think that happiness is something you have. But I think it isn't. I think it's more in the nature of something you do. You know, the founders of our country were no fools. And in the Declaration of Independence, they said that men had certain inalienable rights, among which were the pursuit of happiness. No man has ever declared that happiness itself is a right of man. The pursuit of happiness is. It's worth working for.
Join us for a fascinating adventure in Exploring Tomorrow. Heard in our cast tonight were Mason Adams, Charlie Holmes, and Lawson Zerbe. Script was taken from a story by Raymond Banks. Produced and directed by Sanford Marshall here in New York. Bill Maher speaking.
We pause now for station identification.
Presenting the transcription feature, Superman. Guys, look, it's a plane! It's a plane! It's Superman! And now, Superman, champion of the weak and the oppressed, who came to Earth from the planet Krypton with physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who fights a never-ending battle against crime and injustice, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a large metropolitan newspaper. Superman, as Clark Kent, and Jimmy Olsen are now in the midst of another strange mystery. Going to a certain hotel to interview Sidney Rycroft, British explorer, Kent discovered the explorer was a woman, not a man. Miss Rycroft told Kent that she is being pursued by a group of fanatics because she had broken the seal of the tomb of Osiris in Egypt. Going back to his office, Kent found Editor White with a man who claimed to be the real Sidney Rycroft. Returning to the hotel with Tumbleweed Jones to check the girl's story, Kent discovered to his dismay that the girl was no longer there, and he realized at once that she had fallen into the hands of the men who sought her life. And now we join Superman as he flies across the darkened city, searching for the missing girl. Listen.
This is the weirdest thing I've ever gotten mixed up in. I certainly can't understand what happened at that theater. Now there's Water Street below me. 417 ought to be just about down there. Just about where that light is shining up through a skylight. I'll drop down and have a look through that skylight. I'll land on the roof, but I better do it lightly. Now to look down through that skylight and see. And look. There's Miss Rycroft sitting at a table. She's tied up. Strange-looking man sitting across from her. Sort of oriental in appearance. He must be one of the Egyptians who's been pursuing her. My super hearing will help me in this case. All I have to do is lay my ear close to this skylight to hear every word that's being...
My dear Miss Rycroft, believe me when I say that we intend you no harm.
So, you mean me no harm, eh? These devils of yours climbed through my hotel room window, dashed me over the head, and bring me here. But you mean me no harm. One of us is slightly off his base, my friend.
You do not understand, Miss Rycroft. It is merely that my friends and I wish to regain what rightfully belongs to us.
Now you look here. All I did was to break the seal of the tomb of Osiris in the face of some rather silly and fanatical opposition.
But you misunderstand. That you broke the seal of the tomb is a small matter. Indeed, a very small matter. That you entered the tomb. That the feet of an infidel trod the sacred floor of the tomb. That, too, is a small matter compared to this other.
What other? What are you talking about?
We play the game. You pretend you do not know.
I give you my word I don't know. I thought you and your Oriental devils were after me because I'd broken the seal of a tomb. I rather fancied when you caught me, you killed me. But there seems to be a bit more to it.
A great deal more, Miss Rycroft.
Very well, then, out with it. What is it? What do you want?
We want the sacred black pearl of Osiris.
What?
The English woman, She who displayed nerve and courage, now she grows pale. She trembles a little.
You mean to say you believe I have the black pearl of Osiris?
Of a certainty.
Oh, but I haven't, believe me.
Oh, she dissembles so charmingly. But did I not know the facts of the matter, I should be inclined to believe her. But I do know the facts, Miss Rycroft. And I do know that you have in your possession the sacred black pearl of Osiris.
No, that's not right. You got it all wrong.
You have it.
Now listen to me. You think just because I broke the seal of the tomb and dared to go into it, you think I took the pearl away with me?
We know you did.
But I haven't got it, I tell you.
The expedition into the tomb of Osiris was led by two people, yourself and Sir Charteris Andrews. Sir Charteris does not have the pearl. Of that we are sure. Therefore, you must have it. Of that, too, we are sure.
Well, that explains everything.
Explains what?
That business at the theater, where the great Gambini caused me to disappear. Where I didn't remember anything until I found myself bound and gagged.
I know nothing of that.
What?
Why should we go to such trouble when we could so easily carry you off as we did tonight?
Oh, I'm sure I don't know, but look here. You've got to believe me. Oh, by heavens, man, I'm no vandal. I know what the sacred black pearl means to those who worship Osiris. Why, to steal the pearl would be sacrilege.
Exactly. That is why, Miss Rycroft, my friends and I have come all the way across the world to reclaim it.
But I tell you, I didn't steal it.
I did not say you stole it. I merely say you have it.
Well, certainly if I had it, I'd know about it, wouldn't I?
You do know about it. Oh, come, Miss Rycroft. We waste time. The black pearl of the Osiris, where is it?
I don't know.
Oh, I have a tender heart, Miss Rycroft. Do not cause me the pain of forcing you to tell me where the pearl is.
Isn't there anything that'll convince you?
Nothing.
Well, then I guess I'm in for it. But it's only sporting to warn you, gentlemen, your efforts to make me talk will meet with failure because I simply can't tell you what you want to know.
We shall see about that. Batik? Yes? You know what to do? You are sure, Miss Rycroft? You do not wish to talk?
Dear fellow, my lad, if I could talk, I would, but I can't. So, carry on.
Very well. But it will be necessary to release her first. Untie the cords. Yes, at once.
Well, that's a decided relief. My hands have rather gone up to sleep. Oh, removing the cords from my feet as well, eh? Sporting of you, to say the least.
Keep your hands away from the pocket of your coat, Miss Rycroft.
Why should I? Especially when I have a neat little automatic concealed in this inside pocket you never bothered to search.
Tommy, Sheriff God. Oh, I see.
Charming little toy, isn't it, gentlemen? It was given to me by Sir Charteris Andrews himself just before I left Cairo. And now it looks as if it's going to come in rather...
Oh, let's go, Blaster! Quick, all of you! Oh, never take you all! Finely done, Remete. You came up behind our little Spitfire and grabbed her wrist just in time. And I, Miss Rycroft, we have the gun. And there is nothing else you can do. You are powerless. Hey.
Well. Look at this.
Who are you? How did you get in here?
Tumbleweed. My name, Tumbleweed Jones. Have some fun. Maybe you fellas ain't got a sweet tooth.
Oh, Tumbleweed, my lad, I haven't the grubbiest notion who you are, but you've certainly come in the nick of time. But how'd you get here?
A friend of mine, Clark Kent and myself, found out you'd been sort of hog-tied and brought here.
Oh.
Kent came on here to help you after sending me on an errand. Funny to admit, ma'am, I didn't do the errand. I didn't want to miss out on the fun, so I come right along, and looks like I got here for him.
Whoever you are, do not move. I have in my hand the gun that was this moment taken from Miss Rycroft. One move, and I shoot.
One move, huh? Well, maybe if I make it...
Will you quick?
Oh! I didn't make it quick enough.
Oh, yes. Yes, I forgot to mention I am a good shot. So sorry. I think, Friendly, you shall be safe on the floor for a little while.
Yes, Sandy. I kind of got a feeling you're right.
And now, Miss Rycroft, we proceed to make you tell us where is the sacred black pearl of Osiris. Batik, I think...
Sorry to crash in this way, gentlemen, but I thought it was about time I took a hand.
Suffering coyotes, it's you again.
Who are you? Where did you come from?
Who I am doesn't matter. As you can see, I came through the skylight. I think, gentlemen, that you've been in control of this situation long enough.
I'm taking over.
Oh, you are.
Stand back. Well, come on, don't hang back. Oh, you've all had enough, eh? Good. Now then, we'll just herd you all into this next room and lock you in. I'll be back to question you later.
You will regret this, Apprentice.
We'll talk about that later. In you go, all of you. There. I think that'll hold them for a while. I gotta get this tumbleweed lad to a hospital at once. Miss Rycroft?
Well, I still don't know who you are, but once again, I'm deeply in your debt.
Never mind that. I want you to get back to your hotel and lock yourself in until I send you word everything is all right. I don't think those gentlemen locked in the next room will bother you for a while. Will you do as I say?
Oh, yes, of course.
Very well, then we leave at once. Tumbleweed, can you walk?
I've got a bullet in my leg, but I reckon I ain't dead yet.
Good. Let's go.
You know?
Yes?
Oh, nothing, only... Well, really, you take the trumpet. Quiet.
Hello? I want to talk to Clark Kent. Oh, who's this, Jimmy? Well, Jimmy, this is Tumbleweed. Yeah, I'm calling from a hospital. Now, don't go flying off the handle, little laughing squirrel. It ain't nothing but a leg wound. What's that? No. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you about it when I see you. I don't feel bad at all. Had a lot worse in my time. Well, Jimmy, I just called to tell Kent what happened to me. You tell him for me, will you? All right. Goodbye. Well, now that I've notified Kent, I guess I can turn over and get a little sleep. Funny thing about that guy crashing in through the skylight. Can't understand that, but he's sure come in the nick of... Oh, that you, nurse? Nurse? Hey, it's dark in here and I can't see. Who's there? Why aren't you answering me? Who is it? Who's in here?
Yes, who is in Tumbleweed's room at the hospital? Who is the strange visitor who enters in the dark and doesn't answer when spoken to? Is Tumbleweed being involved in this baffling mystery? And will Superman get close to its solution? Be sure to hear the next episode of this weird and absorbing mystery story with Superman. And remember, tune in the next thrilling installment of the transcription feature, Superman. Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman! Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine. Presenting the transcription feature, Superman! Look, it's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman! And now, Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who fights a never-ending battle against crime and injustice, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper. The mystery surrounding the identity of Sidney Rycroft, British explorer, grows more baffling with each passing minute. Two people, a man and a woman, claim to be the real Sidney Rycroft. Of the two, Clark Kent is inclined to believe the story of the woman. In our last episode, we heard how Kent, as Superman, went to the rescue of Miss Rycroft, who had been captured by an Egyptian named Humi. The Egyptian, with his men, is searching for the sacred black pearl of Osiris, which he believes the woman has in her possession. Tumbleweed Jones, disobeying Kent's orders, also came to Miss Rycroft's rescue and was wounded in the struggle that followed. It was then that Superman stepped in and saved both Tumbleweed and Miss Rycroft. As our last episode ended, Tumbleweed at the hospital had just called Clark Kent and talked with Jimmy Olsen. As he hung up the phone after telling Jimmy where he was and what had happened to him, the door of the darkened hospital room opened and... But wait.
Yeah? Who is it? That you, nurse? Who's there?
Don't cry out, Mr. Jones. Huh? Remain perfectly quiet and no harm will come to you.
Well, who are you?
What? That's a gun you feel pressing against your chest, Mr. Jones. One move and you're a dead man. Might be well to warn you that there's a silencer on this gun.
What do you want, stranger?
There's no time to talk. The doctors will be here shortly to examine you further. You'll leave them here with me by way of the fire escape outside your window.
I know. Who
I said there's no time to talk. Get out of that bed and let's go.
But I can't walk. I'm shot in the leg.
I saw you walk into this place. The wound in your leg isn't too bad. You can walk out again.
All right. You win. I'll come with you. What you'd be wanting with a wounded man's more than I can tell.
Now you're being sensible. Now then, out through that window.
Hey, now, wait a minute. All I got on is these here hospital pajamas. Ain't you going to give me time to dress?
Can't be done.
Suffering coyotes. It's cold outside there. Hey, look at that. It's starting to snow.
Will you stop talking and get through that window? Deliberately stalling for time. Now then, out you go.
Well, all I can say is this sure is beyond me. Here I am, a wounded man, what ain't done nobody no harm, and here's the hombre making me go out into the snow and cold with nothing on but...
Tumbleweed Jones, suffering from a leg wound, is forced through the window of his hospital room and down the fire escape. Meanwhile, Superman, having told Miss Rycroft to return to her hotel, lock herself in and await word from him, now assumes his disguise of Clark Kent and goes to the hotel to talk with her. He approaches the clerk at the desk.
Listen. Excuse me, eh? Sorry. I'm afraid I dozed off for a short while. What can I do for you, sir? Send up word to Miss Sidney Rycroft that Clark Kent is here to see her. But it's only 5:30 in the morning, sir. I kind of hesitate. I know. Don't worry about the hour. Please call her room and tell her I'm here. Yes, sir. Miss Sidney Rycroft, you said? That's right. That's funny. I don't find a Miss Rycroft listed in the register. Huh? Well, she must be listed. I've come to see her here several times. Miss Rycroft. Sidney Rycroft. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. According to the record here, we've never had a person of that name registered. Oh, that's ridiculous. I tell you, I've been to see her here a number of times in the past 24 hours. Perhaps another hotel. No, it was this hotel, no other. Now, please check that register again. Well, here, sir, you can see for yourself. There's no person listed as Miss Sidney Rycroft. Oh, that is funny. Oh, but that's impossible. I saw her here only... Wait a minute. I know she's been staying here, and I'm going to prove it. Her room number was 814. Room 814? That's right. I'm sure you've made a mistake now, sir. Oh, what do you mean? Well, no one has ever stayed in room 814. What? That's always been used as a room for storing cleaning equipment, vacuum cleaners, brooms, and so on. Anything that the maids might use in cleaning up. Now, wait. Where are you going, sir? I'm going up to have a look at that room. Now, just a minute, sir. This has gone far enough. Yes, and it's not going any further. I'm going to get to the bottom of this mystery right now. Come on. I'm going up to have a look at that room, and you're coming with me. Is this the room, sir? Yes, this is the room, all right. Something funny here. What is it, sir? Well, when I first came to visit Miss Rycroft, I found a dagger stuck in the door. A dagger? Really, sir? Oh, it's true, all right. But I don't see any mark of the dagger in this door now. Well, open it up and have a look inside. Very well, sir. I'll snap on the light. Well, sir? Well, I can't believe it. This isn't the room at all, and yet... As you can see, sir, this room is used, as I said, to store cleaning utensils. I give you my word. It's been used for that purpose ever since I can remember. I see. Well, thank you. I guess I was mistaken. Sorry, sir. But you were.
Calling Dr. Mortimer Post. Calling Dr. Mortimer Post. Dr. Post.
Oh, nurse.
Yes, sir.
I've come to see a patient who was brought up to this floor about an hour and a half ago. A man named Tumbleweed Jones.
Oh, yes, sir. He's on this floor, but I'm afraid you can't see him for some time, sir.
Why not?
Well, Dr. Reed has just gone into his room to examine him. They took x-rays of his leg to discover how deep the bullet had gone, you know. I believe Dr. Reed planned to make the extraction in a little while.
Oh, I see. Well, I guess I can wait.
But, Dr. Reed, what is it?
The patient in 802, Tumbleweed Jones. He's not there.
Not there? But he must be there, Doctor.
Well, I'm not blind. I tell you he's not there. Now, did you see him leave that room?
No, sir, I did not.
Well, he can't have gone far. His clothes are still there. A man would be a fool to leave the hospital clad only in pajamas. Are you sure he left by himself? What? Who are you? Well, my name's Clark Kent, Doctor. I'm a friend of Mr. Jones. Oh? Doctor, I'm not too sure that he left here alone. I wonder if I might see the room. Well, of course you can, but what good that's going to do, I don't... Then. You're absolutely sure, nurse, that you did not see Mr. Jones leave that room?
He didn't leave while I was at the desk, Doctor. But I'm away from the desk now and then.
There we are. Bed empty, all right. Not a sign of Tumbleweed. Quite obviously, Mr. Kent. Chances are he went through the window. We'll have a look. Snow's coming down a lot heavier. I certainly don't see what the snow's got to do with it. Well, a good deal at the moment. If you'll have a look at that fire escape, Doctor, you'll see the impression of 2 pairs of footprints in the snow. They haven't quite been obliterated. You're right. Well, it appears then that Tumbleweed Jones was forced to leave the hospital in company with another man. I don't follow this, Mr. Kent. Why on earth should anybody... What are you going to ask, Doctor? I'm afraid I can't answer it. Disappeared. Vanished without leaving a clue as to where he's been taken. I wonder. What's that? I've got a feeling a clue was left, Doctor. And if you'll excuse me, I believe I'll start following it right now. A clue, Mr. Kent? Well, what possible clue could there be? I can't be sure myself, Doctor, and I'd rather not say until I am sure. If you don't mind, I'll get along outside. All right, I'll see you to the elevator. Really, this is the strangest thing that's ever happened in this hospital. Don't you think I'd better call the police? Yes. Yes, I think that'd be a good idea. I'll do it then. Well, here's the self-service elevator. And whatever that clue is you're looking for, sir, I hope you find it. I hope so. Good night. Good night. Oh, nurse.
Yes, Doctor.
Get me police headquarters on the phone at once, will you, please? The only sign of life out here is that milk wagon. Must be nearly dawn. I better make my way around to the alley where the fire escape outside Tumbleweed's window leads to. I can only find the clue. Snowing quite heavily. There's practically no traffic at all this time of the morning. The only hope is that Tumbleweed was taken away in an automobile. If he was, I may be able to follow the tracks in the snow. Here we are. There's the fire escape leading from Tumbleweed's room. Yes, there are the tracks of a car. Not very clear, though. Following those tracks will take supervision. Yes, this certainly is a job for Superman. Here come the cops. Well, whatever I do must be done fast, so... Up, and away! I don't like it, Ato. You've made that fact quite plain now, Mr. Jones. Would you be quiet, please? Quiet? Suffering coyotes. You dug me out of a hospital with nothing on but a pair of pajamas. Cold and snowing. And a bullet hole in my leg to boot. And then you got the confounded nerve to ask me to be quiet. Brother, you're saddling the wrong bronc. Now, look here, Mr. Jones. I'm trying to be as sporting about this as possible. I could as easily shoot you here and now. Yeah, that's another thing I don't like. You driving at 60 miles an hour and using only one hand. Why, these roads are so slippery. It's necessary for me to keep you covered with this little automatic. Hence, I must drive with only one hand. Now, will you please be quiet? I'll shut up after you tell me what's going on here and not before that. Now, what's the idea? What do you have to me for? I ain't done nothing. True, you have done nothing. You're the unfortunate victim of circumstances. What you driving at? What you going to do with me? I can't tell you that. First, you wouldn't believe me. Second, it's none of your business. Ain't none of my business. Why, you hornswoggled coyote. How come you... Quiet. I'm danged if I'll be quiet. Quiet or I'll kill you here and now. Kill me now? Anyway, I'm thinking of killing me. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Say, this is a bridge we're going over now, ain't it? Yes. That's the South River below us. South River? Mm-hmm. I hear tell how the currents in that river down there is pretty strong. Interesting. Yeah, it is, kind of. Because I just got me an idea. Exciting. And my idea is this. If I'm going to die later, I might as well die now and take you with me. Let go of that gun. Lest you take your hand off the wheel. Look out, we're skidding. Yeah, we're going to crash. You fool! Right off in this place. At 60 miles an hour, the car crashes through the parapet and into the treacherous currents of the river below. Will Superman, following the tracks of the car in the snow, arrive on the scene in time to save Tumbleweed? And what is the solution to this baffling mystery? Be sure to hear the next episode of our thrilling and baffling story with Superman. And remember, tune in the next thrilling installment of the transcription feature, Superman. Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman! Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Stand by to raise ship. Blast off -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. As a warm spring sun beats down on the campus of Space Academy, the cadets of the Polaris unit Tom Corbett, Roger Manning, and Astro lug their heavy space gear across the grassy quadrangle and step on the broad slidewalk, heading for the Academy spaceport. As they ride, Tom reminds his unit mates of a previous mission with the same commanding officer, Major Blastoff Connell.
Look, fellas, after the hard time Major Connell gave us on the last mission out to Pluto, let's see if we can't really be on the ball for this one.
Okay by me, Tom.
It won't do any good.
You won't know till you try, Roger. What's the matter? Afraid of a little work?
Listen, you Venusian clunk, I'll work circles around you any day in a week, and that includes...
Okay, save that energy for the Polaris, Roger.
Yeah, use some of that hot air to shine brass.
Well, there's the ship. Let's get aboard and have everything shipshape for Major Connell. This is one mission when the Polaris crew is coming back with a clean record. Polaris unit reporting, sir.
Well, back to your old tricks again, I see.
Tricks, sir?
I thought after our last flight the Polaris unit had pulled itself together. But I see it's the same erratic, undependable...
Well, is there something wrong, sir?
No, nothing serious, Corbett. Just a minor detail. About what I'd expect from the Polaris unit. Who has the orders for this mission?
Well, I have a copy of them, sir.
Will you read the orders aloud, Manning, just for the record?
Yes, sir. 6 May 2352. Order 35876. Polaris unit will report to Academy Spaceport at 1400 hours with full space gear and place themselves under command of Major Connell. Mission, space test of new long-range transmission beam. Destination, Terra, planet and system of Alpha Centauri. Spaceship to be used, the Annie Jones.
Oh, murder. Does this ship look like the Annie Jones? Well, does it?
No, sir.
Just a minor detail you overlooked, no doubt, and a detail that will cost you each 20 demerits. Now haul your gear out of here and see if you can find the Annie Jones. That is, if you can tell the difference between a cruiser and a space freighter. Unit dismissed.
I don't get it. Why do we always wind up with Connell when we've got a long flight ahead of us? First it was Pluto and now Terra. 25 billion miles out into deep space, and he has to be the boss.
Well, cheer up, Roger. There'll be 2 other spacemen on the crew. Connell will have to share his bad temper with them.
Well, if they're smart, those guys will be dead. Who are they, anyhow?
Oh, I don't know their names. A couple of men who were on the first exploratory expedition to Terra.
You know, whether we like the company or not, this is going to be an important flight. If we can get this long-range transmission beam to work, it'll be the first big step to establishing a colony out there.
Fine, and all I hope is they make Connell a CO.
Well, here's the Annie Jones. Come on, let's climb aboard.
You sure this is the Annie Jones now?
Of course. Climb into the airlock. Come on, Astro. Hey, Astro.
Oh, sorry, Tom.
What's the matter? What are you looking at?
Oh, I thought I saw somebody hanging around that port stabilizer fin.
Don't see anyone.
I guess I was wrong. Well, let's go. And heaven help us stay on the right side of Major Connell from now on.
You can say that again, Astro.
You space-happy jerk. Did you have to show yourself like that? You almost quit the whole deal.
I'm sorry, Thurston. I thought those were the guys we're waiting for.
No, those were the cadets. We want the 2 enlisted spacemen.
Yeah, I know, but listen. Are you sure this thing is going to work?
We're going to make it work. I'm not letting a hunk of copper like that slip out of my fingers.
But are you sure the satellite is really copper?
For the last time, Louis, I had that sample tested. The satellite around Terra is almost 3/4 solid copper. And right now, with no deposit on Earth, Mars, or Venus big enough to wire a magnoscope, it's worth more than plutonium. We'll be rich enough to retire, and the dough we'll get from the first load.
I still think we ought to charter a ship and get it legitimate.
To charter a ship costs money, and we ain't got a single credit between us. Besides, this guy Connell and his space cadets might find the copper moon and claim it for the Solar Alliance, and then where'd we be?
Oh, I don't know.
We found that moon when we were out there with the expedition, and we're keeping it.
Okay.
Hey, here come those 2 spacemen. The rest of the crew. You ready?
Yeah, all set.
Quiet now. Get 'em!
Okay, Thurston, they're out cold.
Right. Drag them behind that supply truck and grab their space gear. From here in, we're assigned to the crew of the Annie Jones. And when we get to Terra, we'll be richer 1 copper satellite.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. Here's a special communication from Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Yes, spaceman, here is Tom Corbett to give you an important message about building yourself up to be strong and vigorous. Come in, Tom Corbett.
Corbett here. Now listen, spaceman. In any assignment a Space Cadet takes on, he's expected to do his very best. That's why Space Cadets demand the foods that help them the most. Foods that power them up for hard work. Kellogg's Pep is one of those foods. And besides being a builder-upper, Pep is a great tasting cereal, too. You don't have to take my word for it. Make it your Space Cadet assignment starting tomorrow morning. Eat Pep. Eat Pep every morning. You'll like that flavor. A whole wheat and malt flavor you can really taste. And when you get up from that breakfast table, you'll have a good supply of vitamin D, vitamin B1, and other important food values. The kind of food values you need to get out there and do a job any Space Cadet would be proud of. Let's make a deal, spaceman. We'll both eat Kellogg's Pep every morning. And we'll both keep ourselves ready for action every minute.
Right, Tom Corbett. And say, spaceman, start your day the spaceman's way with a man-sized bowl full of Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Blasting through space in the long-range freighter Annie Jones under the command of Major Connell, Tom, Roger, and Astro are bound for the planet Tara in the system of Alpha Centauri to test a new long-range transmission beam. Already off on the wrong foot with the harsh commanding officer, the boys are unaware that they face more trouble from the two enlisted spacemen in the crew.
Thurston, I still think this job is awful risky.
Nobody's asking you to think. We got to get rid of the cadets and Major Connell, and then the copper satellite is all ours.
Yes, and how do we get rid of them? It's 4 against 2. And those kids aren't babes in arms.
You let me worry about that. We're going to start cutting down the odds right now.
Corbett. Cadet Corbett.
Aye, Major Connell.
Corbett. You know the rules governing all entries made in the logbook.
Yes, sir.
It states that under no circumstances are any entries to be erased. But I find 2 lines here in your watch report have been erased.
Erased?
And on top of that, the wrong course rewritten in its place.
But I never...
Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
That'll cost you 10 demerits, Corbett. And for every act of negligence aboard this craft, there'll be 10 more. And 10 more. Clear, Corbett?
Clear, sir.
Thurston. Yes, sir. Check through the log for more erasures, and I hope for your sake, Corbett, there aren't any. Attention, power deck check-in.
Power deck, aye. Cadet Astro here.
Stand by for course change of 4 degrees starboard at my command.
Aye, aye, sir. 4 degrees starboard. Ready on steering rockets.
Fire.
Major Connell, we're swinging 10, 12, 14 degrees.
Power deck. I said 4 degrees, not 14.
Something went wrong, sir. The energy induction valve was wide open.
Something went wrong, eh? We were in close formation, Cadet Astro. Do you know what would happen?
Yes, sir.
No buts. This is just another example of this unit's cockiness. That little mistake will cost you 20 demerits, Cadet Astro. Keep it up, and by the time we get back to Space Academy, the only power deck you'll handle will be on a kiddie car. And just in case you ever do have a kiddie car, you'll spend 4 extra hours a day off watch making rounds with Lewis. Maybe you can learn something from a real spaceman.
Well, blast my jets. Look who's got all the demerits, and yours truly, Roger Manning, just goes about his work.
Why, you stargazing squirt, I tell you something happened to that valve.
Yeah, and I suppose Tom didn't erase that stuff in the logbook.
No, I didn't, Roger.
Stop beefing. A few demerits and you're crying.
Manning, where are you?
Uh-oh, and transmission, fellas. Right here, Major. What's up?
Suppose you tell me. Check your space position.
Sure thing. Here you are, sir. Chart K, Section 63. We're right here.
Look again, Manning. I think you'll find it Chart M, Section 67.
Chart M, sir?
Chart M, Manning. Check your dead reckoning again.
Well, yes, sir. Hey, wait a minute. You're right, sir. It is Chart M, but how could that be?
It's simple, Manning. You made a mistake.
But I checked these figures 3 times, sir.
You made a mistake, Manning.
Well, yes, sir, I see it's wrong, sir, but I didn't do it,
Cadet
sir.
Manning, you admit there was an error?
Yes, sir,
and
but
you are the astrogator on this ship, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I don't mind if a man makes a mistake. A human error can be understood and excused. But I cannot excuse a man who commits an error and then tries to wriggle out of it. It seems all I ever get from the Polaris unit is excuses.
But
I'm relieving you from duty, Manning, as an example of negligence. Return to your quarters. Thurston, check in.
Thurston here, sir.
You're assigned to the radar deck for the remainder of the trip.
Yes, sir.
Now, maybe I can relax with this ship in the hands of real spacemen.
There it is, Lewis. Second in command. Recorded in the logbook, all nice and legal as far as the cadets are concerned. My idea worked like a charm.
Yep. Planning all those mistakes on the kids and then denying it. Oh, boy, that was just like pouring oil on a fire. Connell just got hotter and hotter and hotter.
So now if anything happens to Connell, I take over the ship and no questions.
I'd feel a lot safer if we got rid of that space bum right away. Suppose he gets wise. And that Corbett is a smart kid, too.
Yeah, too smart. You're right about Connell. We got to get rid of him fast.
The thing is, how do we do it? The ray guns are all locked up.
Leave it to me. I'm going to make our tough skipper take a swim out in space. And I'll use Corbett as bait.
Now, what's so funny?
I'm just thinking, Lewis. I might get down in history as the first guy in the universe to catch 2 space fish on one hook.
Tom, that error on the radar deck was in simple arithmetic. I couldn't make that mistake if I wanted to because I use a calculator on all problems.
Right. And the first thing I learned was not to erase the logbook. And you, Astro, well, you couldn't turn the wrong valve if you wanted to.
All right, then. What's the answer?
Well, I don't know, but I've got my ideas. Thurston and Lewis.
Come to think of it, they're the ones who profited by all this.
And if Tom's right, it's still going to be tough to prove with Thurston second in command.
You think it would do any good to talk to the major?
I don't know, Astro, but I can try. All he can do is give me a few demerits, and the way I'm going, what's 10 or 20 more?
All right, Thurston. What is it? I'm going outside to check the radar antenna. I wondered if Corbett here might want to come along.
Come along? Why?
Well, to learn something, of course. But if you'd rather not.
Good idea, Thurston. A little refresher is good now and then.
But I just finished a 6-week refresher course at the academy, Major.
Of all the lazy, stupid, short-sighted rocket watch. Get into a spacesuit on the double and go with Thurston. That's an order.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's not so bad, Corbett. I can teach you a lot out there. Be the best lesson you ever had. There's the antenna forward, Corbett. You go ahead and I'll follow you.
Okay, Thurston.
Why so slow? I don't want to be out here all day. Why do you keep looking back at me?
Just making sure everything's all right, Thurston.
Oh, yeah, huh? Well, everything will be soon.
Hey, what are you trying to do? Let go of me. My oxygen valve. Let go of me.
Yeah. That's it, Corbett. Have a nice long sleep for yourself. Attention. Emergency. Major Connell. Something's happened to Corbett. His oxygen supply is blocked. They need another bottle right away.
Stand by, Thurston. Do what you can. I'll be right out.
Better hurry, sir. There isn't much time.
That's it. Breathe deeply, Corbett. You'll be all right. Last it, why didn't Thurston just turn your valve on when he saw you weren't getting oxygen?
Thurston, he turned the valve off.
What?
Yes, sir. Where is he?
He went back into the ship to get a respirator.
He what?
Corbett, what are you doing? Come back here.
Major, the airlock, I can't open it. Thurston locked it from the inside.
What? Thurston! Thurston! Check in or by the stars, I'll put you in irons.
You're not putting anyone in irons, Colonel. You're finished. I'm taking over the ship.
What, you rotten space crawler? I'll tear you apart.
Go on, keep blasting, Colonel. That's all you can do now. Don't expect Manning or Astro to help you. They're fast asleep. A little narco sleeping gas in the oxygen circulating system, and they never knew what hit them. When we get to Tara, we wake them up and tell them you and Corbett had an accident.
Now listen, Thurston.
Better save your breath, Colonel. You've only got 4 hours of oxygen in your bottles. So you'd better take a good look at the stars. They'll be the last thing you ever see.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. Spaceman, Kellogg's Pep, the cereal that brings you these exciting Space Cadet adventures, now gives you a chance to collect detailed picture cutouts of your favorite Space Cadets. Right now at your grocery store, each and every regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep has a special Space Cadet picture cutout right on the back of the package. All you have to do is cut it out and set it up in your own Space Cadet setting. You can get a picture of Astro, Tom Corbett, or Roger Manning in a spacesuit, Dr. Joan Dale in the official Space Academy dress uniform. You want to get all 4 Space Cadet picture cutouts, and it's easy to do. Nothing to mail, no box tops to send in. Your picture comes right on the back of every regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep. And that's not all. Right inside that package of Kellogg's Pep, you're going to find the best-tasting wheat cereal you ever poured into your cereal bowl. Just heat those golden flakes up high. Cover them over with milk and sugar. Boy, when you taste a spoonful of that delicious whole wheat and malt flavor, well, you'll call for second helpings right on the spot. So don't forget, ask Mom to get Kellogg's Pep as soon as you can. For a swell build-up cereal with Space Cadet picture cutouts on the back of every package, it's Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Left to die of suffocation, locked outside the Annie Jones, Tom and Major Connell worked desperately on a plan to save not only their own lives, but the lives of Astro and Roger, who have been drugged with a sleeping gas.
Lucky for us, Thurston left this other oxygen bottle outside, Major.
Yeah. If we can damage the steering vane enough, it'll jam the control to make those rats come out to fix it.
Just a little more, sir.
And I think we might have it. Here, let me try a while, Corbett.
Yes, sir. A little more, sir. And that'll do it.
Hammer out here on the edge.
That's it, sir. Steering vane's jammed.
This will start the ship drifting off course. Thurston and Lois will be scanning the hull to see what's going on. And we've got to make them think we're either dead or too weak to resist.
But how, sir?
Now, you lie down on the hull. I'm going to shove off into space.
Major, they're coming out already.
Quick, now. I haven't time to explain. Keep their attention drawn from me. Or we'll wind up drifting with 10 million of the most unfriendly stars I've ever seen.
Imagine those guys busting that steering vane with that oxygen bottle.
Not a good at them, Thurston. I saw one of them through the airlock viewport, drifting away. Almost 4 hours, so I guess the other one is done for now.
Yeah, but I hope that vane ain't busted too bad.
Well, if it is, we get Astro to fix it.
Good idea. Okay, pressure equalized now. Open up the outer hatch and climb out.
Hey, there's one of them down by the stern of the ship. I think it's Corbett.
Yeah, looks like he's passed out. But you better stay here by the airlock just in case.
Okay.
I'll go over and take a look.
Well, hello, Thurston. Come to look over the steering vane?
You're...
Yes, still alive, no thanks to you. They'll get you, Thurston, for mutiny, piracy, and attempted murder. The Solar Guard will
make me laugh. When I get back, I'll have enough credits to buy the Solar Guard. Now, you're going for a long swim in space, and I'll make it easy for you. A blast from this parallel ray. So when the oxygen gives out, you won't feel a thing.
So by trying to keep it a secret, Thurston and Lewis lost everything. Thurston confessed they wanted to keep the discovery of the copper satellite to themselves, and the first step was taking over the ship.
But I still don't understand what happened outside the ship, Major.
Well, Roger, when the Major shoved off into space, I was supposed to act as decoy for the skipper to sneak up behind them.
But how did the skipper get back to the ship?
With the oxygen bottle, Astro. He waited for me to get Thurston and Lewis's attention, and then used the bottle like a jet to push him back. He came up behind Lewis and hit him with a bottle.
I must have cracked his helmet. I couldn't save him.
Well, what were you doing all this time, Tom?
I'll tell you what he was doing. He was protecting me.
Protecting you?
That's right, Manning. To keep Thurston's and Lewis's attention, Tom took a parallel rate charge as calmly as if he were listening to a lecture at the Space Academy.
Well, I'll be a stargazing lunatic.
And speaking of Space Academy, it's going to be a long time before we get back. I've received orders from Commander Arkwright to bring the copper back with us. So you'd better get a lot of sleep. We've got a big job ahead of us.
Sleep? After a round with that narco gas, I want to stay awake for 6 months.
Oh, blast my jets. Now I've heard everything. Manning passing up sack time.
Oh, rack it off, you Venusian hillbilly.
Listen, you skinny space
Hey,
jerk.
fellas, take it easy. The Major.
Never mind, Corbett. Let them blast. It shows everything's back to normal again. Thank the universe.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, on Thursday, when the crew of the Polaris lands on the copper satellite and begins the overwhelming task of sending it blasting back to Earth in Part 2 of Danger in Deep Space. Tune in, same time, same station on Thursday for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal. Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in the cast were Al Markham, Jan Merlin, and Andy Donnelly. Today's program was written by Richard Jessup and directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
And what a secret! In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal, all in one box. And no other raisin brand but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's, because
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
This program came to you from New York. America is sold on ABC, the American Broadcasting.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Tonight, we escape to the coast of Flanders in October 1914 and to the story of a man chosen by a strange destiny to win the First World War, as Robert Buckner tells it in his classic tale, The Man Who Won the War. Gentlemen, I've asked this board to meet by the authority vested in me as chairman of the Naval Committee of the House of Commons. A great wrong has been done, gentlemen, and I have been asked by my colleagues of the House to see if it cannot be righted. An English naval officer was found guilty of treason by this board 10 years ago. I've asked you, gentlemen, to meet and reconsider his case. I ask you to remove the stigma from the name of a man whom I consider to be one of England's greatest heroes. I refer to Commander Edward Bradman.
Now, see here, Mr. Ordway.
Yes, Admiral.
I am compelled to say, Mr. Ordway, that it is a waste of the Admiral his time and a sorry commentary upon the times in which we live, when the Royal Navy is brought to heel by a parliamentary committee. Bradman had a thoroughly fair court-martial. No single piece of evidence came to light to substantiate his fantastic story. There is no record of his action in the Belgian War Office. There is not a single witness to his weird adventure upon the Flanders beach that night in October 1914. Why, damn it, man, the Royal Navy itself tried to find the evidence, but we couldn't. And why couldn't we? Because it does not exist.
I have evidence, gentlemen. New evidence. That is why you have been asked to meet. And, as for the Navy's attempts to clear Bradman's name, I would like you to meet a young man and listen a moment to him. Edward, would you kindly tell the gentleman your name?
I'm Edward Bradman III.
How old are you, Edward?
13 years and 6 months.
Who is your father, Edward?
Commander Edward Bradman, sir.
And your grandfather? Who was he?
Admiral Edward Bradman.
And your great-grandfather?
Lieutenant Edward Bradman, sir. He was killed in action aboard the Victory at Trafalgar.
And you, Edward, what do you wish to become?
A midshipman, sir.
I shouldn't be surprised. And have you made application?
Yes, sir. At the Royal Naval College at Dartmouth.
And were you accepted?
No, sir.
Why not?
They said there was no place in the Royal Navy for traitors or their sons.
Well, gentlemen,
this is scarcely added proof, and I must censure you, Mr. Ordway, for bringing this lad in here, wrapped in the Union Jack, so to speak, subjecting him to such an ordeal, a disgraceful cheap show.
Admiral, I am not on trial here. The Royal Navy is. You want added proof of Commander Bradman's innocence, you shall have it. Here. Here's a letter from the commander, brought to me 3 days ago by the gentleman sitting here beside me. Commander Bradman is lying ill at Newport across the Channel in Belgium. Seriously ill of a tropical fever he contracted during those years when he fled the disapproval of Navy men throughout the Empire. This may be the last word you will ever hear from Commander Bradman, gentlemen. I charge you, listen carefully. It is dated October 24th, Auberge de Deux Matelots, Newport, Belgium, gentlemen. It is 10 years ago tonight that I first set foot upon this Flemish beach. I have returned here tonight under a sort of compulsion, like a criminal returning to the scene of his crime.
But I am no criminal, and what I did here 10 years ago was no crime. I am tired of saying it and of being disbelieved. I am tired, and I am ill. I shall not make this statement again. I make it this last time at the encouragement of the man who brings it to you, the proprietor of this little inn, and the one man in the world who has ever believed my story. When the war began, I was placed in command of the destroyer Firedrake attached to Admiral Hood's battle force on North Sea Patrol. On the night of October the 28th, 1914, the Firedrake was cruising up the Belgian coast to join the main fleet. We'd taken aboard some extra shells and ammunition at Plymouth, along with several cases of Scotch whiskey, since the fleet was looking forward to extended action. And I'm afraid those cases were uppermost in our mind that night as we sat around the wardroom after dinner.
I say, Commander, what brand of whiskey did ship supplies put aboard?
Oh, I don't know. Johnny Walker, does he?
I don't believe so, sir. Cameron Highlander, I think it said on the boxes.
Oh, come now, Mr. Ainsley. They always supply us with Johnny Walker Black Label.
Johnny Walker, Cameron Highlander, or essence of the Loch Ness Sea Serpent, so long as there's whiskey aboard.
Now, that wouldn't be a hint, would it?
Oh, no, sir. But it is nippy on deck tonight.
Do you concur, Mr. Ainsley?
Oh, yes, indeed, sir. The wind's got a bite to it. Man could catch himself a nasty cold out there tonight.
Very well, you scoundrels. Hopper.
Aye, sir.
Go down to the storeroom and break out a bottle of that whiskey we took aboard this afternoon.
Aye, sir.
Anything new on the fighting in Flanders, Commander?
What there is all bad. General Haig has his hands full in the center. On the right, the French are just barely holding. But the real danger is right up there to our starboard.
How's that, sir?
The left flank, the Belgian sector. Von Kluck's Third Army is pressing hard. If he breaks through the Belgian line, you can write off France. I don't understand, sir. Well, if the Belgians don't hold, Von Kluck will cut off the channel ports, Calais, Boulogne, and Le Havre. There's nothing to stop him until he reaches the Atlantic.
And that would also cut off our supply line to our troops.
Precisely. It's the Clausewitz strategy for the conquest of Western Europe. Paris would be bypassed and caught between giant pincers, to be taken later at the Kaiser's leisure.
Beg your pardon, sir.
Here's Hopper with our wee drop.
Yes, well, you needn't have brought the whole case, Hopper.
I wanted you to see it, sir. I've opened 4 of them, and the contents are all the same.
You see, I was right. It says Cameron Highlander on the box.
Yes, sir. But the contents are not Cameron Islander whiskey. They're Cameron Islander uniforms.
What?
Yes, sir. See here, the kilts, the Glengarrys, the Sporen.
But where's the whiskey?
Well, near as I can make out, there ain't any, sir.
What's that?
But I'd say them boxes contain nearly 200 Scotch Islander uniforms.
Oh, well, I'm afraid that this will be a dry voyage, gentlemen.
How could they have made such a stupid mistake?
Oh, blame it on the war.
Well, I just hope that our shells don't turn out to be coffee canisters.
What should I do with these boxes?
Oh, throw them out of the way until we make port again, Hopper. Meantime, I dare say there are some poor Scotch beggars somewhere in France who'll have to do with their old clothes a little while longer.
Speaking to you, sir.
Bridge here. Mr. Twiddle requests the captain to come to the bridge.
Oh, acknowledge, will you please, Mr. Gilliam?
Yes, sir.
Captain, come to the bridge.
What kind of trouble do you suppose Tweddle's run into? Are you coming along, Ainsley?
Oh, might as well. Can't drink kilts and Glengarrys. Freshening up a bit.
Yes, you'll be on our beam ends before morning. Yes, Mr. Tweddle?
I thought you ought to see this, sir.
What?
Look out there on our starboard quarter. A tiny light.
Oh, yes, I see it.
Take a look through the night glasses.
Yes. Flashing on and off.
According to my reckoning, we're off the mouth of the Isa River. Now, if you look at this chart, you'll see that there are no lighthouses along this stretch of coast. Yet there's a flashing light where no light ought to be.
Perhaps it's a signal of some sort, sir.
Yes, undoubtedly, but whose?
Germans can't have gotten this far.
How can you be sure, Mr. Ainsley?
Now, wait a minute. That light's flashing a message in Morse code. G-R-O-G. G-R-O-G. Quartermaster.
Aye, sir.
Change course to 110.
Change course to 110. Aye, sir.
What you going to do, sir?
I'm going to take a closer look.
But, sir, this might be a trap.
Yes, it might. But don't you recognize the code word grog, Mr. Tweddle?
No, sir.
You didn't serve in the Royal Navy as a midshipman, did you, Mr. Tweddle?
No, sir. My apprenticeship was in the merchant service.
Well, then, of course, grog wouldn't mean anything to you.
I don't understand, sir.
Well, Mr. Tweddle, G-R-O-G is a midshipman's joke. It means good rum on goose days.
I still don't understand, sir. When is goose day?
That's the joke, Mr. Tweddle. Goose day never comes.
Ah.
Yeah, it's juvenile, I admit, but fascinatingly esoteric when you're 14 years old.
But why would anybody be sending a midshipman's code word from the coast of Belgium in the middle of a war?
That, Mr. Ainsley, is what we're going in to find out. Be good enough to tick off a landing party, will you? Number 2 power launch. We'll go ashore in 10 minutes.
What? Captain?
You have your orders, Mr. Ainsley.
Yes, sir. You can't be serious, Captain.
I am, Mr. Tweddle.
This might be a trap. We have no way of knowing whether the Germans have advanced beyond this point or not.
Yes, it might be a trap. Or it might be some poor beggar trying to escape the advance. Well, it's well worth looking into. If they were sending a plain SOS, I might be suspicious, but the choice of that half-secret snotty's code word makes me think it's worth looking into.
But suppose it is a trap?
Mr. Tweddle, it would be somewhat the reverse of the classic rules of warfare for a land force, no matter how large, to attempt the capture of a naval vessel on the high seas.
Nevertheless, the enemy's devilishly clever.
Oh, don't you worry, Mr. Tweddle. I'm not asking you to go ashore. I'm leading the landing party myself.
Well, it's not a matter of fear, sir.
Naturally.
But one of caution.
Yes, of course. I'll speed ahead.
Half speed ahead,
fleet
sir.
orders clearly state...
I am quite aware of the contents of the fleet orders, Mr. Tweddle. And they state that elements of the Royal Navy are to give all possible aid and assistance to shore positions.
They also limit such aid to ship to the class of the Mercy in 7.
That is very true, Mr. Tweddle. Then we'll stretch the limits of that portion of the orders a little, shall we?
Furthermore, we're under specific orders to rendezvous with the flagship at dawn.
Then we may be a little late.
Sir, I protest that this is not...
Apparently things are different in the merchant service. But in His Majesty's fighting ships, an executive officer does not protest to his commander. You will heave to and drop anchor. Now, if I've not returned within an hour, you will proceed to the fleet rendezvous. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Carry on.
We're about a half mile down the beach from the light now, sir.
Good. Swing her inshore.
Aye, sir.
That light is getting dimmer and dimmer.
Yes, it's probably only a pocket torch. Battery's burning out. All right, men. Now then, listen to me.
Yes, sir.
When we get to the beach, we'll spread out 10 feet apart and proceed toward that light. Now, you'll keep well down, walk with the utmost quiet. If you encounter a sentry, you try to knock him out before he challenges you. Use your firearms only as a last resort. We are not here to get into a battle, only to investigate that light. Now, if we should be engaged by the enemy, I will fire 3 rapid shots as a signal to return to the boat. Hopper and Spurgeon will remain with the boat. Hopper.
Yes, sir.
If we have to retreat in a hurry, you wait until the last possible moment before you shove off.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
All clear, sir. All right. Brace yourself, lads. We're coming into the surf.
Now, men, move. Over the side and hold your rifles high.
In just a moment, we will continue with the second act of Escape. But first, you'll be hearing double on the CBS Crosby Show this Wednesday night. For Bing will be joined by Brother Bob.
You may imagine the fearful anxiety with which our little landing party hit the beach that October midnight in 1914. We had no way of knowing whether the coast was in Belgian or German hands. We did not know, indeed, whether we were being drawn into a German trap by the tiny light we had seen flashing out to sea. That tiny, weakening light toward which we were now slowly advancing, spread out across the beach, alert for any danger, watchful for enemy sentries or patrols. And then, not 100 yards from where we landed, we encountered a German sentry. He was asleep. Poor beggar, I suppose he imagined no one would be around the sand dunes in the middle of the night. And he was undoubtedly done in. He was sitting on a log. He'd taken off his boots to bury his aching feet in the cool sand. I'm afraid he wasn't a very fearful example of the German military machine that night. But with no trouble at all, Mr. Ainsley and I crept up on him, had him bound and gagged before he was wide awake.
There we are. I don't think you'll raise too much of a hue and cry now, sir.
Oh, I should think not. No, my friends. Bleiben Sie ruhig. Und Ihnen wird nichts passieren. We'll take him along, Mr. Ainsley. Margaret. Sir. You put on this fellow's spiked helmet. Remain at his post. If a relief sentry appears, you take care of him. But no shooting unless absolutely necessary. Yes, sir. Now, let's get cracking, men.
Hold up, sir.
What's that?
I thought I heard voices.
All right, men. Halt. They're speaking French.
Then they're allies.
Still, we must make certain. You take 2 of them, men, and come up on them from the rear.
Yes, sir.
I'll approach from the side. Now, I'll do the talking. If it's a trap, I'll give the signal to fire. After 1 volley, you break for it and rendezvous with the lodge.
Yes, sir. Evan, Stanley, come with me. Aye.
Wilkins, Rodman, Noah.
Aye, sir.
Follow me quietly. Keep your heads down.
Allô? Qu'est-ce qu'on fait là? Qu'est-ce qu'on va dire?
Attention.
C'est là cette fois. À gauche.
C'est cette bas.
Silence. Qui est là? Vos amis. Anglais. Grâce à Dieu. Approchez, s'il vous plaît.
What do you say, sir?
Say to approach. Either Belgians or French. Come on, men. Bonsoir, messieurs.
Bonsoir, mon ami.
Est-ce que vous parlez anglais?
Comment? Why, yes, I speak English a little.
Well, I dare say your English is better than my French. May I introduce myself? I'm Commander Bradman of His Majesty's ship Friedrich.
I can't tell you how glad I am to meet you, Commander. And I am Major de Lesseps of the 3rd Belgian Dragoons. This is Lieutenant Chapotin.
Enchanté, Monsieur le Commandant.
And here's one of my company, Lieutenant Ainsley.
Bonsoir, monsieur. And who is this bound and gagged?
Oh, that's an enemy sentry we picked up on the way. You can have him.
Thank you.
We saw your light from the ship. Whatever made you flash the word?
Grog. Well, I thought a Royal Navy man would respond more quickly to grog than SOS.
Yes, it was an inspiration, but where did you learn it?
Oh, I used to sail in the regattas at Cowes when I was younger. And one of my best friends was Albert Hollister. He was a midshipman in those days.
Oh, Bertie Hollister. Yes, I knew him well. Oh, he's a three-striper now, gunnery officer on the Repulse. Yes. We can go into that another time. What was the reason for your signal, Major?
Simply this, Commander. We're in trouble, serious trouble. We've been pushed back day after day until our men are completely exhausted. Our orders are to make a stand here at the Isère River, long enough to give the sappers time to blow the dikes. Once the dikes are broken, the river should stop the enemy.
Well, how long will it take to blow the dikes?
We must hold the line until sundown, roughly 18 hours.
And you can't do that?
I seriously doubt it, Commander. We've appealed to General Haig for help, but he's completely engaged on our right and can't send us any reinforcements. The French are too far south, and they have their hands full, too. It was my suggestion at tonight's staff meeting to seek help from the sea. It's our last chance.
Well, what do you want us to do?
Stand by us. Bring your guns to bear on the enemy's advance.
But we're only a destroyer, Major. Our firepower is too low to do any good whatsoever. And we haven't the range for offshore bombardment.
Alas, then we are finished. And so is the war. There is nothing between Von Kluck and Paris but us.
I'm sorry, Major.
Uh-huh. They are starting the barrage early this morning. I suppose they know this is the last day.
Yes, I suppose. Oh, wait a minute. I've an idea. Mr. Ainsley.
Sir?
The kilts.
The kilts, sir?
Yes, we can put a company of Cameron Highlanders into the Belgian lines.
I'm sorry, sir. I
Major, we can help you. It's a long, long shot, but it might work.
What might work, Commander?
Well, somebody made a botch back in Plymouth and loaded us with 8 cases of Scotch uniforms instead of Scotch whiskey. There are nearly 200 complete uniforms of the first Cameron Highlanders aboard.
Yes, but I don't understand.
We'll give them to you, Major. You put them on a company of your men. Let them show themselves in the front line. When the attack begins this morning, perhaps the Germans will think the British have rushed in a crack division to reinforce you.
Yes, it might work.
Yes. We can let you have a few Lewis guns, too. But they will not be much help unless the uniforms do the trick.
It's, as you say, a long shot, but let's try it.
Very well. Mr. Ainsley?
Sir.
You go back to the ship at once. Fetch those cases of uniforms and 4 cases of Lewis guns with ammunition.
Aye, sir.
I'll remain here with the Major and help him get his men lined up. Oh, and, Ainsley.
Sir.
Should Mr. Tweddle inquire, you might tell him I'll be detained a while longer winning the war.
Yes, sir.
It was a sight I shall never forget. 200 men solemnly changing their battle-dirty green uniforms for the gay kilts and tartans in the pale light of the setting moon. Everything was done with the utmost dispatch and in utter silence. And it seemed to me that the bright plaid put new energy as well as hope into the battle-weary Belgians.
They look like the real thing, don't they?
Yes, they certainly do. You know, I believe this will work.
Oh, I nearly forgot, sir.
What, Ainsley?
Mr. Tweddle asked me to tell you the flagship's been trying to reach you by wireless.
Oh? What did they want?
Mr. Tweddle didn't say, sir.
Well, they'll have to wait until this business is finished.
Mr. Tweddle said he'd replied, sir.
Oh, well, very well, then.
That's the last of him. 1,000 thanks, sir.
Oh, not at all. Scotch kilts are precious little use to a ship full of sailors. But they may do a turn for you this morning.
I feel sure they will.
Well, we must be on our way. Less than an hour until daybreak. Goodbye, Major.
Goodbye, Commander.
You must look me up after the war. You always reach me at the Navy Club in St. James's Square.
Thank you, sir. I'll do that. Au revoir.
Au revoir, Major. Bon chance, that sort of thing. Huh? Well, Mr. Tweddle, I think we can get underway now.
Finished with your visit ashore, sir?
Scarcely a social call, Mr. Tweddle. I think we may have been of some help to our allies this morning.
Of course, sir. Captain, the flagship's been trying to reach you.
Yes, Mr. Ainsley said something.
I signaled them that you'd gone ashore.
Oh, you did? Well, that must have intrigued them.
Well, I shouldn't say they were pleased. I just received this reply from them.
As senior officer present aboard, you are ordered to take command of Firebreak and proceed to fleet rendezvous immediately. Well, That's a neat double cross, Mr. Twiddle.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bradman, but my responsibility is to the ship on which I serve.
Yes, I can see it is.
However, since you're once more aboard...
Oh, no, Mr. Twiddle. You have your orders from the flag. Follow them. Meddling rule-book sailor. His captious wireless message had made an unnecessary embarrassment for me. But I had no doubts that my explanation of the night's work would fully satisfy the Admiral. So, let Mr. Twiddle have his little moment of triumphant command. I stood out on the starboard bridge wing as we pulled away from the Belgian coast. And through my binoculars, in the grey dawn, I thought I saw the flashing red and yellow of the Cameron flag as the last day of the first Battle of Flanders began. As I expected, the Admiral made a thorough investigation of the matter, and a few days later I faced him in his quarters aboard the flagship.
Mr. Bradman, your little adventure of a few nights ago involved some very serious breaches of discipline. You disposed of war material without authorization. You left your ship without authorization. You deliberately violated the fleet orders regarding assistance to land forces.
And I managed to stop the German advance dead in its tracks, sir.
Mr. Bradman, we know that the German advance has been stopped, but it was stopped by opening the dikes of the Yser River, a plan which has been part of the Belgian and French grand strategy for years.
Sir, the dikes would never have been opened if the Belgian lines hadn't held that last day of the battle. And they were held because the Germans' attack was slowed down. And it was slowed down because the Germans thought the Belgians were reinforced by the 1st Cameron Highlanders.
Mr. Bradman, I have given your story the benefit of every doubt. I have even queried the Belgian General Staff to try to substantiate it. I have their reply. They have no record of any unit being outfitted in Highlanders' uniform.
This wasn't a General Staff matter, sir. It was on a regimental letter.
I may say there is even some doubt on the part of the members of your crew whether or not the men who received the uniforms were Belgians.
What?
Yes, Mr. Twiddle says...
Mr. Twiddle? That meddling fool from the cargo ship...
That is enough, Mr. Bradman. It is the decision of the Fleet Inquiry Board that you be relieved of your command, placed in irons, and be returned to Hull to face court-martial at the earliest possible moment.
The court-martial at Hull sustained the Board of Inquiry's decision, and I spent the rest of the war in prison. Afterwards, naturally, I had to leave England, and wherever I went, Cape Town, Vancouver, Singapore, Melbourne, sooner or later, their story followed me. Sooner or later, some ex-Navy man would turn up who recognized me, and I would have to move on. At last, I have come back to this Belgian beach where it all happened, and here I have found the one man who believes my story.
He is the proprietor of this little inn where I now lie ill and too tired to fight any longer. It is too late now to worry about my reputation. But he has persuaded me to write this letter that my son may not have to bear the undeserved infamy which I have been forced to endure. And he has kindly offered to carry this message to any who may yet be interested in clearing the record of Edward Bradman, Commander, Royal Navy.
That's all very well, Mr. Ordway. But there is not a single statement in that letter that has not been entered as evidence in Bradman's court-martial. There's no new proof. There's nothing here...
Excuse me, Admiral. I wish to present to this board the bearer of Commander Bradman's letter, Mr. Wolfgang Bechtel.
Guten Tag, gentlemen.
You are the proprietor of the Auberge des Deux Matelots, where Commander Bradman is now staying.
Yeah, I am.
But your accent, you're German, aren't you?
Yes.
How is it that you own an inn on the Belgian coast?
After the war, I could no longer bear to live in Germany in the midst of the misery that I had helped to cause. So I, too, like a criminal returning to the scene of his crime, went back to the beach at Nieuwpoort. I had been there ever since.
This is all very interesting, but I don't see what it
Sir,
has
bitte, please. I am the proof you have been asking for. I swear that every word of Commander Bradman's statement is truth. Commander Bradman is indeed the man who won the war. I know. because I'm the man who lost the war. I was the sentry who fell asleep.
Midshipman Edward Bradman.
Yes, sir.
Advance 3 paces. Midshipman Bradman, as Commandant of the Royal Navy College, it is my honor, by order of His Most Gracious Majesty George V, to ask you to receive this Victoria Cross, awarded posthumously to your late father, Commander Edward Bradman, for gallantry and intrepidity beyond the line of duty, and to try to accept the humble apologies of a belatedly grateful empire.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and is tonight presented The Man Who Won the War by Robert H. Buckner, dramatized for radio by Mr. Robeson. Featured in the cast was Ben Wright as Commander Bradman. Also heard were John Daner, Terry Kilburn, Joseph Kearns, Barton Yarborough, Jeff Corey, Ian Wolfe, Paul Freese, Charlie Lung, and John Hoyt. Special music was arranged and conducted by Del Castillo. Next week...
You are standing on the floor of the sea in the middle of the sunken city of Port Royal, with its fabulous chests of treasure waiting to be hauled to the surface. But your life depends on the ship above you, where the treachery of your partners has left you with no escape.
Next week, Escape will be heard at a new time on Friday evening. Next week, we escape with the story of a diver who discovered an entire city beneath the sea.
Stay tuned for the adventures of Philip Marlowe. 10 p.m. BULOVA, Bulova Watch Time. Bulova Maxim, including band, valued at $12.75. Complete, only $29.75. President Truman, General Marshall, and Henry Fonda will tell you about a gallant fight against misfortune 30 minutes from now on a special broadcast entitled Across the Street, Across the Nation. WCBS AM and FM, New York.
Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk. And Nestle's chocolate bars now present Space Patrol. High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, a criminal scientist has discovered a method of traveling back through time. He has taken Buzz and Happy back 14 centuries and has left them on a desolate seacoast on the planet Earth.
I just can't realize that we're back in the year 1591.
Let's make the best of it. After all, our ancestors did.
And we're stuck here in the past forever?
Perhaps there's one slight chance of getting back.
Yeah? Well, what is it, sir? Commander, I feel strange. Everything's going black. What's that sound?
You like him?
Commander! Hey, what's happening to us? Commander! Where are you?
We'll be back in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol story, The Time Pirates.
What's new?
Nestle's new.
Nestle's what?
Coconut.
Nestle's new coconut bar. That's for me.
You have to eat one to believe there could be such a wonderful flavor combination. Now, just imagine. Thick, rich, smooth milk chocolate, crammed to the edges with fresh toasted cocoa. It's such fun to eat, too, because it gets crisper with every bite. Care to add anything to that, Hap? Hap, Cadet Happy, will you please answer?
Oh, well, golly, Commander, I'm sorry. You know what happens to me when you start talking about Nestle's new coconut bar? I just close my eyes and leave this planet. Yes, sir, I imagine I'm eating one right then and there. I can just taste that sensational, creamy, rich chocolate and all that super coconut. It's so crisp, so delicious, so... Oops, there I go. Well, that's the way it is, Commander. And there's only one cure for it.
Oh, and what might that be?
Oh, I just got to eat a Nestle's coconut bar, of course.
Oh, well, that seems like a good idea. For you, for me, for all space patrollers, too. Gang, why don't you find out for yourselves? Treat yourself to a brand new coconut bar. You'll really go for it.
Everybody goes for Nestle's, Commander. Wonderful milk chocolate, almond chocolate, and crunchy crunch bars. And naturally, the new coconut bar in the red and cream-colored wrapper. Smoking rockets, Nestle's certainly makes the very best chocolate.
And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Time Pirates. Roaring toward the outer reaches of the solar system, a spaceship arcs over the Neptune orbit, its blazing rockets thrusting it onward at an ever-increasing pace. Far behind it, drawing slowly nearer, is the Terra 5. Commander Corey and Cadet Happy, their minds and bodies aching under the strain of several G's acceleration, relentlessly follow the blurred circle of flame from the rockets of the fleeing ship.
We're nearly up to star drive velocity. They cut over into hyperspace, we'll never get them.
Scarno's taking an awful chance because into hyperspace in that ship. I'd better warn him.
He's ignored all your other warnings, sir.
He's had a fair chance to escape. Maybe you'll listen to reason now. Commander Corey aboard Terra 5, calling Ryland Scarno aboard Star Drive Cruiser JS-14. Corey to Scarno. Scarno, this is urgent. Acknowledge.
Someone calling the great Dr. Scarno?
Scarno, listen. Cut your rockets and surrender.
Now, Commander, why should I do that? My ship is nearly up to star drive velocity.
You're taking an awful chance, Scarno. That ship's in bad shape, mechanically and electronically.
I knew that when I stole it from Jupiter City Spaceport.
Your hyperspace transition effector is probably out of alignment. When you cut into star drive, there's no telling what'll happen to you.
One thing is sure. You won't be able to follow.
You may think the ship's worth stealing, but is it worth risking your life for?
You forget that I'm an expert on hyperspace theory and star drive mechanisms.
If you don't value your own life, think of that man with you.
Glomer has already made his choice. Is that right, Hugo?
Yeah, I'm speaking with Dr. Scarno.
You heard Glomer. Goodbye, Commander. We're kicking into star drive.
Scarno, wait. Scarno.
That's no use, sir. Look, the ship vanished. Scarno's in hyperspace.
Yes, he got away. But sooner or later, we'll have to return to the solar system.
Provided it can be.
We'll go back to Terra and alert all units from Mercury to Pluto to watch for it.
In the control compartment of the stolen Star Drive cruiser, Dr. Scarno and his assistant Hugo Glomer have blacked out as the ship makes the sudden transition from regular three-dimensional space into hyperspace. At last, Scarno regains his senses and shakes his companion.
Listen, we're coming out of star drive.
Yeah. Well, I can see streaks of light through the viewport.
I'll set up the astrogation instruments. We should emerge about 30 billion DUs beyond Pluto.
There's the sun, blazing off our starboard side. There's the Earth. I know it's the Earth. See? There's its moon.
It can't be the Earth. On the wrong side of the sun for this time of year.
Your astrogation instrument must be off.
Nonsense. We're not in hyperspace now. Mars Titanic. 94 degrees off.
I still say...
Shut up, Hugo. Let me think. All those planets are off. In the exact proportion of their periods of revolution around the sun. In hyperspace has no relation to ordinary space-time. Last time stood still while the solar system aged 6 months. Look at Earth. There's your proof.
I don't understand.
The Earth has gone halfway around its orbit. Half a year.
6 months gone out of our lives.
6 months. It's a multiple of 6 months. A year and 6 months. 5 years and 6 months. century in 6 months.
No. No.
You're a new type of explorer, Hugo. When we land on Earth, we'll know exactly where we are. But we won't know when. There's no doubt about it now, Hugo. It's Earth, all right. The landmass is the Florida Peninsula.
But the city, what happened to the city? And there are no farms, no spaceports, just forest and wilderness.
We'll know the answer after we land. I've examined the settings on the hyperspace computer. I think I know what went wrong. Circuits that control the time coordinates are out of alignment.
Can you fix them?
Oh, there's where we'll land. Near the mouth of that river.
I'm all confused. Tell me what's going on.
Later, Hugo. Just keep your head and trust me.
Claus and Happy have returned to Space Patrol headquarters on Terra after their futile pursuit of Dr. Skarner.
Skarner will probably try to contact some of his accomplices by hyperspace communications, Happy. Our monitoring stations will notify us if any unidentified signals are picked up.
Yeah, but we can't get a fix on Skarner from the hyperspace signal. And it'll probably be in code, too.
You're always a liar. We may be able to locate his Confederates and set a trap. I've already got a line on one likely suspect.
Who, sir?
Skarner has had dealings with a third history. He operates a small private spaceport in the Andes Mountains in South America, on planet Earth.
It's a good hideout, all right.
His tie-in of Bristol with Dr. Skarner may be the best we need. First, we know that Skarner has given spaceport to the Terrans.
And it does need repairing.
Yes, immediately. In fact, Skarner may have set a hyperspace vector for Earth when he cut into Stardrive.
Well, maybe at Bristol Spaceport right now repairing the Stardrive controls.
He isn't. There's a good chance he'll show up there very soon. Happy we're blasting off for Earth to check up on Mr. Bristol.
Meantime, Dr. Skarno and Hugo Glomer have landed their ship near the mouth of a river. Carrying empty water containers, they climb a grassy knoll that slopes down toward the sandy beach a quarter of a mile away.
Look, Doc. I kept quiet all the time you were working on a hyperspace computer. Now, will you tell me what year we're in?
I don't know whether your mind can stand the shock, Hugo. But first, let me assure you I've repaired the computer and the control mechanism. We can return to our proper period of time whenever we choose.
All right. Let's have it.
Remember you asked what happened to the cities of North America? They have not been destroyed. They have not yet been built. They are now in the latter part of the 16th century.
We've gone back into the past?
More than 1,400 years back. From the 30th century back to about 1591.
But can we return? Are you sure you can get us back to the 30th century?
What's the rush? We're safe here. And Corey hasn't been born yet, and won't be for 14 centuries. Between the river, the sea, and those woods over there, we'll find plenty of fish and game to eat.
Dr. Skarner,
Hugo. Get down. No. They're running toward the beach.
Coming down the river?
No, from the sea. Must be a ship out there.
Why didn't we see it when we came in for a landing?
Up and down for 3 hours. The ship may have been hidden in the cold.
Those men, what did they look like?
They're dragging the rowboat up on the sand. See that ship. It's going to be. The rest of it is hidden by the river. Where's your head, little Hugo? You can see.
Sailing ship.
Not true. Steamships won't be invented for more than 200 years. A Spanish galleon, Hugo.
Spanish galleon?
Now, do you believe this is 1591?
Could be a dream.
It's real, all right. These men are climbing out of the rowboat now. They're carrying something heavy. A big box of some kind. Some shovels.
We have the binoculars.
No. Hugo. The pirates. They're burying them. Treasure they've stolen from other ships. They're burying it here.
Doc, you're talking awfully strange.
Well, what will they do? We'll go back to the ship and sail away. We'll take it up.
What good is it going to do us?
Don't you see? If we get back to the 30th century, pirate treasure will solve all our financial problems. We'll pay Phil Bristol to help us fix up the spaceship.
We're rich. We're rich.
Elsewhere, Buzz and Happy are now at the remote spaceport operated by Phil Bristol in the Andes Mountains. They've been questioning Bristol for some time with no results.
No, Commander, I haven't heard anything from old Doc Scarno for more than a year. Frankly, that suits me fine. I don't want to get involved in any of his deals.
I see.
And what about his pal, Hugo Glomer? Glomer? I've heard of him. Now, look, Commander, I can't imagine why you came here. This spaceport's strictly on the up and up. I'd pick up a few emergency jobs, all legitimate.
Well, Bristol, we'd like to look around a bit. What's in that hangar over there at the south end of the port?
Oh, just an old hulk, waiting for repairs.
Cadet and I'll take a look at it.
It's nothing to see, believe me.
What's the matter, Bristol? Something out there you don't understand?
Why, no. No, of course not. It's
We'll take care of them, Bristol. Get your hands up. Both of you.
What, the Scarno? Yes, Commander. Bristol, take your weapons. I don't want them to give Hugo an excuse to shoot them.
Okay, Scarno. Well, why not shoot them? We can't let them go.
I have other plans. We'll dispose of them permanently, yet we won't have them again. Remember those gold pieces I showed you? Spanish coins? We'll take Corey and the cadet back where we got the treasure and leave them there. Come on, gentlemen. Where are you taking us, Scarno? Oh, you like it? The sun is warm and the sea is beautiful. And someday a ship may come along and take you aboard.
And then we'll be right back on your trail, Scarno.
No, you won't. The ship, if any, will be a Spanish galleon.
Galleon?
I'll be safe to be forever. We're going back 1,400 years. Being marooned, Corey, like the ancient pirates marooned their enemies. Marooned in time.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Say, do you recognize this sound?
Why, that's somebody drinking Nestle's Quick, Captain Toothfell.
How can you be so sure, Tony?
Easy. A drink has to be awful good to drink it down to the very last bubble like that. And Nestle's Quick sure is. Why, it's so rich and chocolatey, it tastes just like those wonderful Nestle's chocolate bars.
Well, I follow you there.
Now, if a drink is hard to make, you usually drink it kind of slow, so it'll last long. But that sound was somebody drinking fast. And on account of you can make yourself a glass of Nestle's Quick so fast, and start all over again, us kids don't mind drinking it down in a hurry. So it had to be Nestle's Quick.
Tony, you're absolutely right. Nestle's Quick is so quick. In fact, it makes itself. You just pour out your glass of cold milk. That's why the milk comes first. Then add 2 teaspoons of rich Nestle's Quick, and down it goes, mixing all the way. You just give it a little swish with your spoon, and it's ready to drink.
There's one more reason, Captain.
Oh, what's that?
Well, I've made that sound so many times myself, I know it by heart. Want me to show you?
Shoot.
Okay. I'll make my glass of Quick. Just add 2 spoonfuls to my glass of milk. Now, once around with the spoon, in with the straws, and here goes.
Well, sure enough. That's the happy drinking you get only when you get delicious Nestle's Quick in the bright brown and yellow can. Try some right away. Quick makes milk taste like a million. You'll see. That's Nestle's Quick. And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Time Pirates. At a spaceport high in the Andes Mountains on the planet Earth, the port manager, Phil Bristol, tells Buzz and Happy he knows nothing about Dr. Scarno and Hugo Glomer, who have stolen the Star Drive ship. Suddenly, Scarno and Glomer emerge from hiding, disarm the space patrollers, and threaten them with a strange fate. Buzz and Happy are to be taken back 1,400 years in time and left on a deserted coast of America in the late 16th century.
Well, gentlemen, I see you've survived your first trip back through time. We are now back in the year 1591.
It's funny. You don't look a day younger.
You're still skeptical. My friend Glomer is bringing the ship in for landing on Earth. Then you will see for yourself.
How did you discover this trick of time travel?
It was an accident. The hyperspace computer was out of adjustment. Now I can control it. However, to avoid error, I'm returning to the exact moment of time of our previous trip.
You going to leave us here?
Yes. I'll be rid of you. Yet I'll have committed no crime. There's no law against transporting people back in time. Is there, Commander?
Yeah. Scarno, how long after the pirates buried the treasure did you and Hugo dig it up?
We waited till they got back aboard their galleon and sailed out of sight. About 2 hours, I suppose. Why?
Do you know the exact time they buried it?
It was noon. Yes, the sun was almost directly overhead. What are you getting at?
The treasure existed under the sand from noon until you took it away 2 hours later. But what would happen if, on this trip, you dug it up 1 hour earlier?
Then I'd have 2 treasures.
Huh? But there's only one treasure.
Yes, it's aboard this ship.
But we're going back in time. We'll see the pirates bury their gold at noon, like rerunning a film.
But this time we'll get there sooner. Beat ourselves to it, so to speak. We'll have 2 identical treasures.
On second thought, it won't work. No, Scarno.
It will. It's got to.
But common sense...
Common sense. Common sense tells you that you couldn't possibly be here in the year 1591, because you're not even born. Still, you're here, aren't you?
Yes, but there's only one of each of us. There isn't a Commander Corey here in 1591 and another Commander Corey up ahead in the 30th century.
You're trying to talk me out of my great idea. You want to dig up the treasure after I blast off so you can live like kings here in the 16th century. Well, I'll just kill that little scheme. Hugo and I will get the treasure again, and you 2 are going to help.
Dr. Scarno carefully repeats the exact landing procedure of his previous trip to the year 1591. Then, concealed by bushes on the knoll, the 4 men from the 30th century watch the pirates bring their rowboat ashore, bury their treasure chest, and return to their galleon lying at anchor in the quiet waters of the bay. Finally, Scarno rises to his feet.
Stay digging.
And remember, one false move and you'll die before your time. It's been a good day, Doc.
Shut up, Hugo.
Hey, Doc, what happens if those pirates see us from their ship?
I gotta ask. I didn't sail around the place. Anyway, what did they do? Wait, dig faster, you 2.
Oh, what's the rush? We've got 14 centuries to dig this up.
It's there. We uncovered the chest.
Hurry, Corey. Throw away that sand.
It worked. Just like you said it would, Doc. We got proof that's the treasure.
I think I can lift it out now.
Down those shovels. All up the chest.
It's sure heavy.
Hugo, I've got another idea. You can dig up the same treasure twice. Why not 3 times or 4 times? Come back again, 15 or 20 minutes early.
Well, you're going to be bumping into the pirates if you keep it out.
Hugo, fill in that hole, level it out smooth, and don't forget the shovel. Corey, get that treasure to the ship. Hugo, unlock compartment 2. Put the chest in there with the other one.
Well, hurry up. This thing isn't getting any lighter.
Okay.
All right, Corey. Take the chest in the compartment and set it down by the other treasure.
Oh. Hey. What other treasure?
Doc, look. The other chest is gone.
What? That's impossible. Only you and I have the keys to this compartment. Hugo, what are you trying to pull?
What do you mean? What am I trying to pull? Are you accusing me of stealing the gold?
You didn't do it. Who did? I've got a notion that... Don't move, Corey. They got you covered. You better listen. Corey has just been waiting for us to get into a private scrap so he and the cadet can jump us.
Now, where did you ever get an idea like that?
In fact, he probably planned this whole thing.
I could they are locked up in another compartment, except when they were with us on the beach.
Corey's figured out some trick about this time travel effect. What is it, Corey? Where's the first treasure we dug up?
Right here. Happy and I just set it down.
It's the second chip.
Look, one object can't be in 2 places in the same instant. The instant the ship returned to the year 1591, the treasure vanished from the compartment.
This time we dug up the same chest as before. Half an hour sooner, that's it.
Of course, if we took the chest ahead to the 30th century and left it there, and then came back.
You got it. See, Scarno? Our spaceship is a time machine. If the gold isn't in the time machine, it would return to 1591. It would stay in the future with Crystal.
It's a possibility, Scarno.
It's worth trying. If you thought this up so we take you back to the 30th century, you're mistaken. Corey, you and the cadet are staying here. Hugo, get them out of the ship. We're blasting off.
Left behind on the desolate coast in the year 1591, Buzz and Happy watched the ship blast off into space on its strange journey into the future. Accepting their situation bravely, Buzz suggests they explore their surrounding and search for food. Right now, several hours later, the space patrollers walk along the wet sand of the water's edge.
Since we haven't any weapons to hunt with, our best bet is to try to dig up some clams.
Yeah. Looks like there are a couple of Robinson Crusoes over here.
Let's try this spot. Let's start digging up. Why are you watching the sky?
Oh, I'm looking for Scarno's ship. He ought to be back by now.
Yeah, returned here and blasted off again, Corey.
Wouldn't we have seen him?
Now, when he returns, he'll have set his time selector to about noon of this day in 1591. To us, it's now 4 hours later. The arrival of the pirates, Scarno's return, both events are past history for us.
I just can't realize that we're back in 1591.
Let's get used to it. Let's make the best of it. After all, our ancestors did.
Then we're stuck here in the past forever?
It's not the past now. It's our present. However, there's one possibility, one slight chance of getting back to the future.
Yeah? Commander, would you explain? Everything's going there. What's that sound?
Like
Hey, Commander, what's happening to us? Commander? Where are you?
As Scarno lands his spaceship in the now familiar hollow between the low rolling hills, the sun is high overhead. The Spanish galleon rolls gently at anchor in the bay, its pirate crew unaware that pirates of the future are waiting to steal their plunder.
All right, Hugo, get the shovels out of the tool compartment.
Okay, Doc. What time did we hit the beach this day?
1 hour and 15 minutes past noon.
You don't suppose there's any chance of Corey and the cadets spoiling our show?
How could they? 4 hours into the future. They could no more interfere with us than you could change last week's weather.
I see. You know, I have a feeling that this time it's going to work. The treasure we left with Bristol will stay in the 30th century. Now, we dig up the duplicate the pirate caravan to bury. And we have 2 treasures.
Yes, I know. I'll get this.
Get Scarno, Happy. I'll handle Hugo.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Hap, take a look.
Yes, sir.
Where did you come from?
From the compartment where you had us locked up at first.
How did you get in?
We were on the beach. Then all of a sudden there was a whirring sound. Things got black, and then, boom, we were in your ship.
And what made it happen? Scarno said you were 4 hours into the future.
We were. But our existence in the year 1591 first began when your ship emerged from hyperspace, when you first brought us here. In that instant of time, we were in the ship. So when we returned to that instant, we returned too.
Yeah, only this time the compartment door wasn't locked.
Should have shot you before he blasted me.
That wouldn't have helped you. We were part of the space-time equation for this instant of the year 1591.
Sure. As far as the 30th century is concerned, those pirates have been dead for hundreds of years. And yet, when you clean in on this day in 1591, there they are, real as life.
On your feet, Scarno. You're returning to the 30th century to get your pal Bristol.
Under Commander Corey's watchful eye, Scarno sets the hyperspace vector for a return to the 30th century. Landing at the spaceport in the Andes, Buzz leaves Happy in the ship to guard the 2 prisoners while he goes after Bristol.
Now, just relax, boys. You'll have company in a few minutes.
It's all your fault, Scarno. You were so smart.
Look, Hugo, we're still in good shape. We'll go to a criminal rehabilitation center for a while. When we come out, we'll still have the treasure we left with Bristol.
Yeah? Will Corey let us have it?
We had to. Pirates buried it, and we dug it up. 2 owners have been dead for centuries. It's ours by right of discovery.
Oh, Commander, did you find Bristol?
No, Happy's gone. And so is his ship.
The treasure.
What about the treasure? I checked the hiding place you told me about. It's gone.
Provincial? He double-crossed us.
Well, don't worry about him. I'll find him. It'll be easy.
Easy? You know where he's gone?
No, but I know how to find out.
How, sir?
I'll tell you later, Hap. When they get these two characters back to Terra.
Bristol, he's nothing but a
pirate?
Yes. That's a low-down pirate.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
Say, Space Patrollers, now's the time for a quick-me-up. Know what that is? It's a pick-me-up with Nestle's Quick. Yes, sir, when a fellow's throat wants something cool and smooth, Quick. Have some Quick. Quick is Nestle's wonderful chocolate powder that makes milk taste like a million. In fact, it turns out chocolate milk with the same sensational flavor as your favorite Nestle's chocolate bar. That's real terrific chocolate. Rich, smooth, and plenty delicious. And Nestle's Quick is such a cinch because it practically makes itself. After you pour yourself a glass of milk, just add 2 spoonfuls of Quick. It starts to mix itself, and you just help it along with a little stir. Then taste it. See if you don't agree with all us Space Patrollers. There's nothing like a delicious Quick Me-Up. Ask Mom to get you some Nestle's Quick in the brown and yellow can.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Mars and Happy have entered a laboratory on the planet Mars to capture a criminal. With ray guns drawn, they advance toward their foe, who suddenly darts behind a high-frequency generator.
He's trying to get out the door, Commander.
After him, Hap, before he gets away.
Yes, sir. I can't move.
We're in a high-voltage field.
Throw down your gun. I can't.
Be with us again next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, Voyage to the Future. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Len Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Ken Mayer, Norman Jolly, Baylor Kovach, and Tony Sides. Dick Dufeld speaking. This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant Toto, Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and famous Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast for Armed Forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.